after 100 million years of secluded cultivation. Although Yi Shen's cultivation level hadn't progressed much, his body had attained the realm of immortality and indestructibility. However, the moment he broke through the mountain and flew out, he was completely stunned. The reason was that his 3 disciples had become figures who shook the heavens. The first disciple had become an empress, leading tens of thousands of cultivators and organizing grand sacrificial ceremonies. The second disciple was a notorious bloodthirsty assassin, who would do anything for you as long as you paid him, his hands drenched in fresh blood. The third disciple was a solitary master, who could control thousands of puppets with just a flick of his finger. Yi Shen, after hundreds of years in seclusion, was also shocked to discover that his name had spread across the continent. And he had become the Demon Dao Supreme, a name that struck fear into everyone who heard it. Let us embark together to follow this story. On a bright full moon night, in a desolate forest, a young lady was severely wounded, using her hand to lightly wipe away the fresh blood at the corner of her mouth. Beside her, her junior sister was sobbing uncontrollably. They were from the White Flower sect, with the senior sister named Bai Qingni and the junior sister named Bai Xiaohe. Although their injuries were not severe, they were exhausted from running for too long, and now the group of black-clad individuals had caught up with them. It seemed that this time, they were in a dire situation. The woman leading the group of black-clad individuals spoke up, "HMPH. Offending the Empress and still want to run, committing such a grave sin. You should obediently surrender." Xiaohe poked her head out and shouted angrily, "What grave sin? You're just talking nonsense. We attended the ceremony of the Wujiang sect, saw you performing a sacrificial rite to worship a person, and only out of curiosity asked a question, yet you chase us like this. Does the Wujiang sect regard human lives as worthless? Clearly, you're a demonic cult." The purple-haired woman glared and questioned, "Just a curious question. Huh? Do you know the person you inquired about is the master of the Empress?" The 2 Bai sisters were shocked and bewildered. The master of the Empress? Could it be? Correct, the legendary Demon Dao Supreme himself. Not only is he the master of the Empress, but also the master of the Southern Noble Position Emperor. Additionally, the Asura King of Death City was also under his tutelage. You dare defame the Demon Dao Supreme? You'll be punished by heaven and earth. The Empress sparing your sect is already merciful enough. In the future, speak when you know, and stay silent if you don't. As she spoke, she drew her sword and charged towards the 2 Bai sisters. The senior sister hurriedly stepped forward to shield them and urged her junior sister to flee. Suddenly, an unusual phenomenon appeared in the sky. From the clouds, a bolt of heavenly lightning struck down amidst those preparing to fight, directly blasting them away. Qingni was astonished. What just happened? Has the Earth Dragon shifted? Not yet. The purple-haired woman looked up at the sky and noticed a powerful vortex appearing atop the mountain, with continuous lightning strikes, gale force winds ranging from level 8 to 9, the seas roaring wildly, and visibility reduced to 4 to 10 kilometers. From the center of the vortex, a strange man suddenly appeared. None other, this was Yi Shen, the sect leader of the mystic extreme sect after coming out of seclusion. Yi Shen felt his body, slightly disappointed that his cultivation hadn't broken through. 100 years in seclusion, yet the realm remained unchanged. But it seemed his body had sanctified. Yi Shen could now be considered immortal and indestructible. Upon exiting seclusion, he had to test his skills to see their power, didn't he? He swung his hand, releasing a powerful strike that split the ocean surface, sending stones flying everywhere, causing the group nearby to barely evade in time. Unaware of any presence around him, Yi Shen continued to unleash strikes haphazardly, resulting in severe damage to the ground and surrounding terrain. The group, consequently, suffered significant injuries. Coincidentally, the 2 disciples from Baihua sect were unharmed. This led the purple-haired maiden to assume that the powerful figure intervening was aiding the enemy. Exclaiming, "Damn it, the enemy has a high master helping them. We must quickly report back to the sect leader. Let's withdraw." Having tested the move, Yi Shen felt its power to be quite formidable. Indeed, the might of a saintly body was extraordinary. Hearing voices hovering nearby, he suddenly became aware, discovering 2 maidens sitting amidst the rubble. Yi Shen was shocked. Did anyone happen to be here when I tested my move on the mountain just now? Oh no, did I end up injuring others? Observing their state, He thought, "It looks like I did. I must confirm quickly." Hastily, Yi Shen descended toward the two sisters. Xiao He, upon seeing this, became worried. "Sister, he's coming over here." Unaccustomed to the new power of his saintly body, Yi Shen landed with great force, breaking the ground and creating a large shock wave, nearly blowing the two girls away. A nearby mountain once stood towering high, but fractured halfway under the impact. After hearing the story from the two girls, Yi Shen finally understood the situation. "So, you merely asked a question and ended up being chased here by the Wuji sect?" The two nodded vigorously. Wuji sect. Huh, the name sounds quite nice. Almost as good as my Xuanzi sect. And the title of Empress you mentioned sounds quite formidable. However, no matter how imposing, one should not recklessly kill over a mere linguistic misstep. If my disciple Luan Yanni were there, she certainly wouldn't have allowed this to happen. Xiao He concurred. "Senior, you must be a high master, and your disciple must surely possess great virtue." "Right, sister." Upon hearing the name Luan Yanni, King Ni suddenly became flustered. Yi Shen turned away. "Very well. Since you're both all right, I shall take my leave. Arrange your affairs well. I have matters to attend to. Farewell." Having said this, he leapt into the air and soared with the wind. Xiao He gazed after him with admiration. "Wow. A true high master. He's already vanished without a trace. Someday, we'll also be that powerful." "Right, sister." At this moment, King Ni was trembling with fear, unable to control her body as she collapsed to the ground. Murmuring, "Luan Yanni, his disciple he mentioned is Luan Yanni." Xiao He, "Have you forgotten? The Empress hunting us is named Luan Yanni." Yi Shen, while flying, was curious about how his disciples had grown. However, he was entirely unaware that he was, in fact, the legendary Supreme Demon Dao. Yi Shen idly reminisced about memories from over 100 years ago. Back then, he had just single-handedly eradicated all his enemies and decided to temporarily withdraw from the world to cultivate. Luan Yanni, who was still a petite young girl at the time, upon hearing that her master was about to enter seclusion, sorrowfully asked, "Master, do you truly intend to abandon us and go into seclusion alone?" Yi Shen smiled and patted her head. "Rest assured, your master has eliminated all the traitors. For the next 100 years, no one will dare to invade our Xuanji sect anymore. You all need not worry." Luan Yanni, her eyes filled with tears, sobbed, "Master, please don't go. Your disciple doesn't want you to leave." Yi Shen sternly shouted, "How dare you? I have already passed down the cultivation techniques so you can live peacefully. But your master cannot forever stand in front to protect you. Understand? From today onward, everyone in the Xuanji sect must focus on training diligently. I am entrusting you with a mission. During the century I am in seclusion, you must rejuvenate the sect." He still pondered on the scene from 100 years ago, unaware that everything in the scenery had changed. Returning to the present, Yi Shen was flying towards a city. As he flew, he admired the scenery below, feeling satisfied. In merely 100 years, the spiritual veins of the sect's Ling Mountain have been restored. How interesting. Let's go down and take a look. As Yi Shen descended, everyone around looked at him with fear. Wherever he went, all eyes were fixed on him, each face revealing a hint of trepidation. Yi Shen was surprised. Am I too handsome? Perhaps. He surveyed the houses and streets and, seeing that even the area outside the sect was flourishing, nodded approvingly. Not bad, not bad. Letting the disciples train on their own truly was a wise decision. Suddenly, a stall caught Yi Shen's attention. It was a stall specializing in selling wooden toy figures. He didn't expect that such items were still being sold now. Approaching and picking up a figure, he mused. In the past, only the Tianli assassination axe and explosive body pills were sold. It seems life has vastly improved these days. Suddenly, as he looked closely at the wooden figure, he discovered, why does the face of this wooden figure seem so familiar? He asked the shopkeeper, "Shopkeeper, may I ask, this wooden figure is modeled after which great deity?" The shopkeeper, seeing Yi Shen's face, turned pale, hurriedly packed his things, and closed the shop. "Our humble business is small. Please have mercy and forgive us. Heaven's watchful eyes are upon us. Please reconsider your actions." Yi Shen was bewildered. What's happening? Why did the shopkeeper suddenly panic as if he had seen a ghost? Following the shopkeeper's advice, He looked up. Unexpectedly, he discovered an enormously large statue that closely resembled him. Strangely, the words, Wu Ji sect, were engraved on the statue. Isn't this place the Xuanji sect? He wondered. Suddenly, Yi Shen recalled the words of the little girl. Could it be? Is this Wu Ji sect? Before he could finish his thoughts, a man, accompanied by a group of women, approached and accused, "This scoundrel intentionally dresses like the deity of the statue. Struts around arrogantly, causing the people to shut the doors, not daring to come out." A woman stepped forward, scolding, in broad daylight. "How dare you act so wildly? Dog thief, prepare to meet your end." Yi Shen was taken aback. "What's this? I'm wearing my own clothes. How is that being wild? I should be the one asking you. What's with that statue? And moreover, where is my Xuanji sect?" Before he could finish speaking, the group of women brandished red chains and surrounded him. They quickly initiated the golden lock array, throwing chains to bind Yi Shen. Yi Shen, seeing this, merely sighed. "A few chains like these can't bind someone like me." He gently shifted his body and easily broke free from the restraint. "Listen to what I have to say first." The group of women, witnessing this, broke into a sweat. What? The Emperor's golden lock array was broken in the blink of an eye. Only the Emperor can break this array. Could it be he is? As if understanding each other's intentions, they gestured, then, simultaneously began to remove their clothes on the spot, revealing two oversized Dutch lady milk cartons. You'll have to estimate their size with your eyes because, at this point, it's hard to measure. Ha ha. Yi Shen was shocked and hurriedly covered his eyes. These petty tricks. Seductive arts have no effect on me. Please, restrain yourselves. But in truth, the women weren't undressing, they were changing into white garments. Then, they took out paper cannons and fired them in celebration, forming two neat rows, bowing in salute. "Welcome back, Honorable Yi Shen, to the Infinite Sect." Yi Shen was still bewildered. "Huh? What's happening?" The women approached, gently guiding him back to the Star Observation Pavilion. "You are the one who founded the Golden Lock Formation, Honorable Yi Shen, aren't you?" "Indeed." But Yi Shen didn't get a chance to finish, when another woman interjected. "Please accompany us back to the Star Observation Pavilion. His Majesty awaits you there." Yi Shen was confused. His Majesty? Who? Why are they waiting for me? What do you all mean? That's exactly what it says. Rest assured, you'll understand everything once you arrive. Afterwards, Yi Shen was led to the main hall of the Star Observation Pavilion. Sitting right in the center was someone behind a red curtain. The voice from inside called out, "Are you the one who broke the Golden Lock Formation?" Yi Shen replied, "Indeed. I am Yi Shen, sect master of the Profound Extreme Sect. This time I've come to inquire why my sect has." Before he could finish speaking, from behind the curtain, a woman flew out. It was Empress Luan Yanni. She was overjoyed. 100 years. Finally the disciple gets to meet you. Master, Yanni has missed you greatly. Yi Shen was utterly astonished. This little girl who only knew how to cry. Luan Yanni, how did she grow so much? Wait, let me go first. Luan Yanni wouldn't relent, clinging tightly to him. I can't. It's not easy to wait for your return from seclusion. This time, no matter what is said, I won't let you leave anymore. Even if we die, we shall be buried together. Returning to the story, Luan Yanni suddenly sat on Yi Shen, startling him. What is this? Don't speak nonsense. First, get off me. Luan Yanni smiled, pulling open her master's robe. At this point, why pretend to be ignorant? Such wickedness and audacity, yet it only makes Yanni happier. She raised both hands to the sky, performing the supreme art of 9 turns gate-splitting array, immediately using strips of fabric to bind Yi Shen securely, controlling him completely. Yi Shen was astonished. This is the 9 turns gate-splitting array. It's the final move I taught Yanni before going into seclusion. Is she really Yanni? Luan Yanni beamed. Master. Over the years, Yanni has mastered all the spells you taught. Your disciple has followed your teachings diligently in preparation for this reunion today. Luan Yanni gently flexed her fingers, pulling the strip of cloth wrapped around her master's neck closer. After today, the bond between us can become even deeper. Luan Yanni stood up, drawing out a golden dagger and continued. But before that, Master, you must give Yanni a small assurance. I know you are exceptional, but your body is not indestructible. Just by cutting off these legs, you won't be able to go anywhere. Yi Shen was shocked. Wait, is this really necessary? Luan Yanni giggled. Don't be afraid. Just endure a little pain, and we'll be happy forever. A flash of light appeared as the blade touched Yi Shen's leg. But it couldn't cut through, and even sparks flew. Luan Yanni was astonished. Why can't it be cut? This is a remarkably sharp dagger, crafted from precious materials. Surely, I didn't use enough force. She immediately grasped the dagger with both hands, raising it high. Ha ha, now I'll do it for real. Yi Shen calmly spoke. Not stopping until reaching your goal is certainly Yanni's way. With my disciple improving so much, how could I as a teacher not progress? He swept his hand, directly releasing a massive stream of true fire, incinerating all the bindings. All constraints, no matter how solid, eventually fade with the vastness of time. But Yanni, in Yi Shen's heart, remains the one and only. Yi Shen, trying to maintain composure for barely 5 seconds, immediately showed a foolish expression. The reason, because he exerted a bit too much power, forgetting to control his strength, causing Luan Yanni's clothes to catch fire. After hearing Yi Shen's words, Luan Yanni suddenly became sorrowful, asking, Master truly thinks so? But Yi Shen, his mind utterly lost in her captivating beauty, couldn't hear a word. The scene left him so stunned that he even spurted nosebleed, covering his eyes while hastily saying, It's true. Master wouldn't lie. Quickly, put on another outfit. Luan Yanni angrily, Liar. You speak of eternal oceans and unwavering vows. Yet a promise between us is forgotten. You've forgotten everything. Yi Shen was startled and hurriedly searched his memories, recalling an event from 100 years ago, when he was teaching Yanni magic techniques. Back then, due to a careless mistake, he inadvertently tore her garments. Just like now, Yanni sobbed, Master, you deceived me, saying this formation couldn't be broken. Yet I got hurt. Yi Shen immediately comforted her. Who said so? True beauty lies in strength. Yanni, even at a young age, if you can fend off the dark bear demon, how could you not be beautiful? The 9 heavens' mysterious maiden need not worry about not finding a match. Yanni, moved, asked, Master, do you truly wish to be by my side forever? Yi Shen replied earnestly, Have I ever lied to you? I promised. Master will always be with Yanni. They linked fingers in a promise. But Yanni didn't catch the latter part of the sentence clearly, only remembering, Master always by Yanni's side. Yi Shen recalled everything and embraced Yanni. Yanni has never changed. It is the Master who arrived late. Yanni pouted, gazed at Yi Shen, then rushed to hug him tightly. Master, have you just returned now? She then recounted all that had happened in the past 100 years. After hearing the story, Yi Shen finally understood. So that's how it is. No wonder you had to change the sect's name to evade the pursuit of the remnants. It has indeed been hard for you, but as long as Master is back, everything can be resolved. Yanni hesitated. If Master has returned, does your promise to me still hold? Yi Shen, thinking she was referring to the promise of staying in the sect forever, reassured her. Rest assured, Master will not break his word. Yanni was astonished. Her face flushed. Oh, has Master agreed? Isn't this a marriage vow? Yi Shen cheerfully replied, The important thing is to keep one's word, as a true man. I say what I mean and do what I say. Yanni excitedly said, If Master keeps his word, then I will immediately choose an auspicious day for the wedding ceremony. But Yi Shen thought she was talking about gathering everyone in the sect. So he also agreed to choosing a good day. Suddenly, someone came to report, Your Majesty, the scouts from the Fanghua team have discovered that the Celestial Book has awakened. And all major sects are heading to the Celestial Book City. Yi Shen suddenly remembered, Celestial Book. Could it be that I forgot to take it before I secluded myself? Yanni immediately regained her dignified aura and commanded, The Celestial Book rightfully belongs to our sect. Now that Yi Shen has returned to his position, the Celestial Book must naturally return to us. Someone, relay the order across the continent. I will personally retrieve the Celestial Book. Yi Shen quickly interrupted. Wait. Let me go and get it. His face was full of concern, as if afraid that the secrets of the Celestial Book would be exposed. Could it contain the secret of Juhua? At that moment, the atmosphere in Qianshu City was incredibly lively. A messenger, holding a newspaper, ran while shouting, Breaking news. Breaking news. The 3-year mark has arrived. And the battle for the Tian Shu to recognize its master has begun again. The Tingchao sect is joining the fight. Determined to win, the cultivators buzzed. The 100-year Tian Shu recognition battle, will it end today? Or will it leave us with a question mark or an exclamation point? A messenger approached Yi Shen, honored cultivator. Do you need a copy of the Tian Shu news? Yi Shen smiled. Thank you. I don't need it. Observing his surroundings, Yi Shen sighed. This Tianshu city is the same Lulan city from 100 years ago. The changes are so immense. In just 100 years, it's become unrecognizable. Even the old roads can no longer be found. Suddenly, a paper crane inside his robe spoke, and Luan Yanni's voice rang out, with little Yanni in hand. You can travel the entire continent without worry. Please turn right up ahead. Yi Shen smiled faintly. Yanni, you said there's someone here to assist me. I'm only here to retrieve my belongings. There's no need for anyone to meet me. Is there? The paper crane replied, all right. But to explain further, during your time in seclusion, the Tian Shu was temporarily stored in this city, which caused many disputes. At that time, the Xuanji sect was too small to reclaim the Tian Shu. Yanni used this opportunity, spreading the existence of the Tian Shu throughout the world, causing cultivators to vie for it. In order to divert attention away from our sect and record the villainous factions fighting over the Tian Shu. Yi Shen was surprised. Using one's head as bait to catch fish, Yanni's mind is truly meticulous. Yanni has indeed grown up. We've arrived at the designated place. The person to assist you is just ahead. And there's also a letter left for you. The paper crane continued. Oh, did Yanni leave any more instructions? Master, there's no need to overthink it. The person assisting you is from the Xuanji sect's secret branch, and the reception codes remain unchanged. You can hand things over without worry. Yi Shen was pleased. It's still you. Always so thoughtful. You've worked hard. The paper crane added. Also, Master, once you retrieve the Tian Shu, you must immediately return. Understood? And one more thing. You're not allowed to look at any other women while you're outside. Just thinking about it makes this disciple furious. After finishing its words, the crane's eyes brightened and it turned to ash. Yi Shen smiled bitterly. Such a child. Always overthinking things. How could Master possibly have the leisure for such things? Suddenly, Yi Shen noticed a fortune teller. She was slurping noodles loudly. He guessed, could this person be my contact? Yi Shen approached and greeted her. Excuse me, may I ask for your honored name? The fortune teller looked up at him. Who would have thought I'd get such a young and handsome customer? With a face that's absolutely delectable. With her undying love for handsome men, the fortune teller quickly set down her half-eaten bowl of noodles. She swiftly grabbed the sign of her fortune teller booth. She eagerly introduced herself. I am little Kiao Kiao, known in the Jianghu as little Yan Tian. Though untalented, I possess some skill in divining the heavens and earth. Whether seeking love or predicting one's future, I can assist with all. Suddenly, Kiao Kiao covered her mouth and whispered, I also handle lost and found services. Yi Shen thought to himself, lost and found. That must be the Tian Shu. She's definitely the person Yanni arranged. To be sure, he cupped his hands and whispered, Heavenly King covers the Earth Tiger. Judging by her reaction, it seemed our main character had found the wrong person. Kiao Kiao looked confused. Are you stupid or something? Good, right. Oh my, could it be that, are you stupid or something? Was the actual counterphrase. What a mess. It turns out Kiao Kiao isn't the contact. She just happened to respond correctly to the secret code. Kiao Kiao waved him off. Go on. Don't get in the way of my business. She thought to herself, another idiot. Such a waste of good looks. Yi Shen, believing she was highly professional and using retreat as a strategy to probe him, replied, if we're not of the same family, we wouldn't enter the same house. You don't need to think too much about it. Kiao Kiao slammed the table. What? Who's in the same family as you? Who are you calling an idiot? If you're sick, go to a clinic. Don't cause trouble here. Yi Shen placed a hand on Kiao Kiao's shoulder, pressing her back into her seat. I've laid my cards on the table. I truly came to retrieve something lost. Suddenly, a strange sensation emanated from Kiao Kiao. Her body grew hot, and her long dormant inner core became turbulent. There's no mistaking it. This person is my fated cultivation partner. Yi Shen was surprised. Why does your face look so pale? He showed concern, still assuming she was Yanni's arranged contact, and treated her with courtesy. Little Qiao suddenly grabbed Yi Shen's hand. She placed his hand on her chest. Yes. 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 Heavenly King covers the Earth Tiger. I'm the fool. I've waited for you for so long. You're looking for something lost. Right, I'll take you there. There's no time to waste. Please, follow me this way. Just as Yi Shen was being pulled away by the woman, another person peeked out, looking around. Wait, didn't the Empress's secret command tell me to wait here? Where's her contact? At the Qianshu assembly, the atmosphere was incredibly lively. The Qianshu was placed on the stage, with two famous masters battling each other. The crowd watching whispered, "Holy moly, that's the sect master of Tingchao sect, Wei Tianheng. His strength is not to be underestimated. Could the Qianshu really be snatched by him?" Qiao led Yi Shen to where the assembly was taking place. Wow, why are there so many people? Yi Shen was astonished. Of course. Take a look. Do you see what you're looking for up on the stage? Qiao replied. Honored cultivator, I can see your strength is extraordinary. You must be here for the Qianshu. Right, it's said that whoever claims the Qianshu will rule the entire continent. A young hero, who wouldn't want to become a regional overlord? But to awaken the Qianshu, not only do you need a fated great fortune, but also the permission of the Lord of Qianshu City. That's why there's an endless fight going on up there. She continued, but from what I can see, you're not much different in strength from Wei Tianheng, the sect master of Tingchao sect. If you want to claim the Qianshu, I can help you this once, if you dual cultivate with me. Turning around, Qiao realized Yi Shen was already gone. Suddenly, the crowd burst into commotion. Something's flying out. Quick, look ahead, someone's going up on stage. It turned out that Yi Shen had flown onto the stage. Qiao panicked. What are you doing? With your current strength, you can't take on Wei Tianheng, or the city lord Zhang Zicheng. The two who were fighting suddenly noticed someone trying to snatch the Qianshu, and immediately stopped fighting, charging towards Yi Shen to attack him. Yi Shen planned to quickly grab the book and leave before causing too much of a stir. But suddenly, a loud curse rang out. You shameless scoundrel, trying to steal my peach tree in the chaos. Are you looking to die? Qiao was terrified, unable to bear the sight. She covered her eyes. It's over. We're done for. To speak of the formidable individual currently rushing to strike Yi Shen. We must turn back the clock to 100 years past. After Xuanji sect's downfall, the continent of Shangyuan was engulfed in widespread civil war. Lacking strength and influence, the Tide Hearing sect suddenly gave rise to an extraordinary genius. He mastered both cultivation techniques and martial arts, dominating the world with no equal. This genius was none other than Wei Tianheng. In his fury, Wei Tianheng charged at Yi Shen, shouting, "Get lost at once!" Unable to contain his rage, he unleashed his ultimate move, the 5 forms of Ice Fist. Despite being called Ice Fist, it resulted in a massive explosion akin to flames. In truth, he intended to kill a chicken to scare the monkey, flaunting his mighty power. Qiao beneath the arena thought to herself, things are troublesome this time. Wei Tianheng is narrow-minded, and this kid is truly unlucky to have crossed him. I must save him quickly. On the stage, Yi Shen's cry of ouch resounded, leaving Wei Tianheng astonished. Yi Shen, unfazed and smiling cheerfully, responded, "Is this manner of greeting currently in vogue?" Wei Tianheng wondered, how could he block one of my punches? Who exactly is this kid? The opponent behind spoke up, Wei Tianheng, don't blame me for not warning you. Every cultivator who came for the heavenly book possesses some skills. I advise you to give your all, otherwise, your old age might not be preserved. Wei Tianheng chuckled, ha ha, you want me to give my all? Then you might have to meet the underworld's emissary. He intensified his energy, channeling it into his hands, then charged straight at Yi Shen, executing the Southern Fist second form, Stellar Grand Completion, aiming a punch directly at him. Yi Shen effortlessly dodged it. Not bad, you can even withstand the second form of my Ice Fist. Young man, you have great potential. Wei Tianheng continued, I'll tell you something good. The Ice Fist created by this old man isn't just about punches. As he spoke, he kneed Yi Shen, sending him flying into the air. The audience below was astonished. What? Wei Tianheng advanced his ice fist again. Before, it was only about fist techniques. Yi Shen, despite receiving a powerful knee strike, remained unscathed, his face calm and composed. He pondered, the Heavenly Book Assembly resembles a martial arts competition. Perhaps I should join in. Defeat rivals, and retrieve the Heavenly Book, an opportunity to enhance my sect's reputation. Lost in thought, he didn't notice Wei Tianheng had leaped up. Closing in, Wei Tianheng puffed up his cheeks, eyes wide open, crossing his hands, then used both legs and hands to strike, sending Yi Shen crashing to the ground. Yet, as Yi Shen landed, he did not fall, only his feet sank into the earth. TSK, this platform is rather cramped. Are my shoes undamaged? He muttered. Wei Tianheng was not done with Yi Shen yet. He descended from above with terrifying speed, deploying Southern Fist First Form, the peak-breaking peak, thrusting Yi Shen's head into the ground. In honor of your courage to step onto the stage, this old man will give you one more technique, sending you to bliss. Tian Hoang raised his leg, executing Southern Fist First Form, unending stream, stomping fiercely down on Yi Shen. The ground around shook violently, dust and rocks flying into the sky. Finished. Tian Hoang leaped back, self-satisfied and complacent. Ha ha. Zi Cheng, this time no one will disturb us. Let us discuss the celestial tome now. Zhang Zi Cheng nodded, but then panicked. Tian Hoang, be careful behind you. Wei Tian Hoang turned back, seeing Yi Shen rushing towards him with a fist ready to strike. But Yi Shen merely smiled, not punching but lightly flicking his forehead. This light flick dented his forehead, sending Wei Tian Hoang flying far away. Tian Hoang lay amidst the rubble, powerless to resist. Yi Shen casually said, "Allow me to give some guidance. I must take the celestial tome." Everyone who witnessed that moment was in chaos. What just happened? Defeating Wei Tian Hoang with just a flick? Who exactly is this person? Taking the celestial tome is truly deserved. Wei Tian Hoang opened his eyes to look at Zhang Zi Cheng, shouting, "Zhang Zi Cheng, how long do you intend to just watch? Do not forget that which you requested. Only our Ting Chao sect can fulfill it." Zi Cheng chuckled coldly. Ha ha. Old Wei. Is it so difficult to admit that someone else is better? These words agitated Tian Hoang. A voice from his distant memories echoed in his mind. Inferior to others. Wei Tian Hoang, do you understand? Inferior to others. It is you. It's because you're inferior that your loved ones perished. His eyes flared with rage, veins bulging. Wei Tian Hoang became frenzied, pulling out a Hun Yuan pearl and swallowing it. His power surged, appearing like a demon. The sky gathered dark clouds, becoming ominous. Above Wei Tian Hoang's head, a massive vortex appeared. The murmur of conversations among the crowd was growing louder. Is it going to rain soon? How disappointing. I still wanted to see the celestial script. Zhang Zicheng panicked. Wei Tianheng, have you gone mad? To fend off the attack, Zicheng hastily deployed his internal energy to shield himself. The crowd around them was buzzing. Oh heavens. Look over there. Zhang Zicheng is channeling his power too. Could it be that he's joining the fight? This year's Celestial Script Assembly is truly captivating. Yet they were unaware that disaster was about to strike. In the sky, dots of light appeared everywhere. Many, oblivious to the situation, gazed up with delight. One of the sparks fell into the area of a young maiden, flashing briefly before exploding. Chaos erupted as everyone started fleeing, and the maiden clutched her chest as she ran. Kiao Kiao was no exception. She ran while cursing under her breath, cursed old Wei Tianheng. I knew it. The chaotic primordial pearl has summoned heavenly lightning here. In no more than a stick of incense's time, the whole area within 100 miles will be scorched. That brat, he's definitely doomed. At that moment, Yi Shen wiped blood off his face, though it wasn't his own, but Zhang Zicheng's. He effortlessly plucked out a strand of heavenly lightning wrapped around him. Heavenly lightning. A bit troublesome indeed. Wouldn't you agree, Zhang Zicheng? Zhang Zicheng stood dumbfounded, utterly astonished. This seemingly simple act by Yi Shen made him question reality. What do you mean by, wouldn't you agree? This is heavenly lightning. Just a touch already got me skinned. Yet this guy flicks it away with ease. Yi Shen grabbed the hem of his garment, lamenting, alas, my sleeve's burnt. Never mind, it's not a major issue, as long as the root is dealt with. He looked up at the massive chaotic primordial pearl in the sky, which continued to summon heavenly lightning striking down incessantly. Coincidentally, I also want to test this body's limits a bit. He intended to destroy the chaotic primordial pearl, when suddenly something large and round flew directly at him. It turned out to be Kiao Kiao. She was carrying a pair of life buoys. "I've come to rescue you." She quickly dashed forward, wrapping her arms around him. "No. You can't die here. What are you doing playing hero at a time like this? In the end, it's me who has to save you." Perhaps the heavenly lightning couldn't kill him, but suffocating under the weight of these enormous oranges certainly seemed possible. "My friends." Kiao Kiao shielded Yi Shen with her body. Yi Shen sighed, looking up bewildered, with eyes wide and mouth agape. "Is this saving or not? Is this truly saving? Oh heavens, what a bother." Kiao Kiao quickly pulled out a transmission talisman from her pocket, waving her hand to stick it right on Yi Shen's forehead. He was bewildered. "Am I a zombie for you to stick a talisman on my head like this?" Kiao Kiao reminded. "Don't move. This is a one-time transmission talisman. I only have 3 left. No matter how precious the celestial scroll is, it cannot compare to life and wealth." As she spoke, she affixed another transmission talisman on herself. But unfortunately, it was struck and burned by a bolt of heavenly thunder. "It's ruined. The talisman got burned. We can't leave anymore." She closed her eyes, resigning to fate. Yi Shen removed the transmission talisman from his forehead, embraced Kiao Kiao, and reproached. "You're such a fool. Who told you to save me? Huh, who needs it?" Suddenly, a powerful bolt of heavenly thunder crashed directly down upon the two of them, causing an earth-shattering explosion. Wei Tianwang stood high above, looking down, feeling delight at the cries for help from below. He laughed heartily. "Ha ha, that's the end of it. I can control heavenly thunder, and the celestial scroll will be mine. You are all mere lowly beings." While gloating, suddenly a stone flew up from below, hitting his head. Wei Tianwang glared down to see who dared such audacity. From within the dust and smoke, Yi Shen and Kiao Kiao emerged, despite being struck directly by heavenly thunder but unharmed. Yi Shen calmly spoke. "Wei Tianwang, you indeed have some skill, to be able to direct heavenly thunder. Not everyone can achieve that. Is this what you desire?" Kiao Kiao had fainted after bearing the brunt of the explosion's force. Thankfully not severely injured due to Yi Shen's protection. However, her attire was no longer intact, and her glasses were lost. Yi Shen looked up, continuing, "Can you hear the cries of these people? Is it worth regarding human lives as worthless grass just for a celestial scroll?" Wei Tianwang was, of course, not easily persuaded. Angrily shouted, "The victor becomes king. The loser a bandit. Risks bring bigger rewards. No risk brings lesser gains. People like you who preach morality often live like pigs. Shut your mouth." As he spoke, he formed seals, directing heavenly thunder towards Yi Shen. But before the heavenly thunder could be unleashed, he was struck by a direct punch from Yi Shen, landing squarely on his snout. "All right, I don't need to lecture you anymore," Yi Shen said. Then he pummeled Wei Tianwang's face with a flurry of punches, sending spittle flying everywhere. At this rate, it seemed the whole set of teeth might be knocked out. "I will show you. After all, the celestial scroll rightfully belongs to me." He took out the celestial scroll, declaring clearly, infusing true qi into the heavenly book. It immediately emitted a dazzling golden light, breaking the seal and transforming into a scroll about 100 zhang long. Spiritual creatures within the heavenly book emerged, frolicking with Yi Shen as though reunited with their master after a long separation. Yi Shen gently stroked them, smiling, "Old friends, it's been a while. I have a task that requires your aid." Holding the heavenly book, he performed wondrous incantations, releasing green spiritual energy in all directions. This spiritual energy descended, healing the injuries of the cultivators below. Broken legs were mended, and Zhang Zicheng, who had just lost an arm, found it restored as if new. "My heavens, my leg is healed. Could this be a blessing from above?" the astonished cultivators exclaimed. "Has Wei Tianwang been defeated? Is that young man the one who obtained the heavenly book? Who exactly is he to wield such dominance?" Yi Shen descended from the heights, appearing most proud. Kiao Kiao too was being healed by the spiritual energy. Yi Shen gazed at the two celestial peaches upon her and marveled, what on earth? Why hasn't she awoken? Has her heart stopped beating? Noticing the massive peaches, Yi Shen instinctively reached out, intending to check, but then he told himself, no. Stop thinking nonsensically, save her first. After all, she belongs to Luan Yanni. He slipped his hand into the gap between the two peaches to feel her heartbeat. As far as he recalled, the heart was on the left. Yet why couldn't he detect any pulse? Kiao Kiao, fully aware of Yi Shen's every move, thought to herself, oh heavens. You're embarrassing me. My heart is on the right, not the left. How humiliating. I boasted on the stage about saving others. Yet now I'm the one being rescued. Truly disgraceful. Yi Shen, unable to feel her heartbeat, finally lifted her in a princess carry. This won't do. I need to find a secluded place to examine further. Hearing this, Kiao Kiao was secretly delighted, so excited that she drooled slightly, swallowing in haste. Oh, a secluded place. Sounds intriguing. Well then, just go with the flow and dual cultivate. This is quite a fortunate opportunity for me. Better keep pretending to be unconscious to cooperate. As Yi Shen carried Kiao Kiao and prepared to leave, Zhang Zicheng gazed at him intently. Truly unexpected. It turned out to be a young man who seized the heavenly book. He was about to call out to Yi Shen, but suddenly someone appeared, addressing him as City Lord. This person removed his disguise, revealing himself to be one of Zhang Zicheng's subordinates. Ordered to conceal his identity to meet with Yi Shen, Zhang Zicheng inquired, didn't I instruct you to receive the Empress's people? Why are you here now? Where is the other party? The subordinate replied, I have something to report to you. Thereupon, he whispered into the City Lord's ear. Suddenly, Zhang Zicheng's expression turned astonished. He hastily called out loudly, Taoist friend. Please wait. He rushed over, panting. You. He leaned close to Yi Shen's ear and whispered, are you the undefeated nine heavens 10th earth thunder? Spanning 4 seas, sweeping 8 desolations, known as the infinite demon lord? Yi Shen was momentarily stunned, then awkwardly denied, you must have mistaken me for someone else. Zhang Zicheng seemed to understand, rest assured, I am one who can keep secrets. Yi Shen, a bit annoyed, retorted, I am not. Suddenly, Zhang Zicheng knelt down, kowtowing, Junior has long admired you. Today I finally have the honor to meet you. I am Zhang Zicheng, son of Zhang Kong. Upon hearing the name Zhang Kong, Yi Shen's expression suddenly changed. While the two were engrossed in conversation, Kiao Kiao had already opened her eyes, listening in from who knows when, yet she remained still in Yi Shen's embrace to savor the feeling of being held by such a handsome man. When speaking with Zhang Zicheng, he invited Yi Shen to his residence, conveniently asking him to tend to Xiao Kiao Kiao as well. At the Zhang mansion's courtyard, a doctor had already been called by Zhang's people to provide treatment. The returning spring master is here. Please, come this way. How is the patient? The returning spring master asked. The maid replied, it's quite embarrassing. Although our mansion's doctor tried his best, she remains unconscious. Stroking his beard, the returning spring master said, I heard this young woman was traveling with the owner of the Tian Shu. Yes, she used her life and body to protect the Tian Shu's master. That's why she was gravely injured by the Tingchao sect. Our lord is beside himself with worry and is waiting anxiously in the drawing room for your good news. Returning spring master, please go in quickly. The maid opened the door for the doctor to enter, but to everyone's surprise, the room was empty. Xiao Kiao Kiao had slipped away. It turned out she had escaped just before, hiding behind a nearby wall to eavesdrop. Once the two people left to search for her, she finally dared to take a deep breath. They even called the returning spring master. Zhang Zicheng sure is generous. Good thing I ran in time, or I'd be exposed by now. Kiao Kiao thought to herself. I thought if I pretended to faint, that brat would do this and that with me, perfect for gathering more information. But instead, he ran off with Zhang Zicheng. No sense of pity for a delicate beauty. Fine, go ahead and evade me. What kind of scheme are you up to? Kiao Kiao smiled slyly. From within a deadly crevice, she pulled out a strange talisman. This lady won't let you off that easily. Kiao Kiao cast the person seeking talisman, and wherever the talisman led, she followed. Suddenly, it seemed to be heading into a strange house. Looks like Yi Shen is in there. Kiao Kiao smiled smugly. He, found you, with this Immortal's all-seeing talisman. Even if you flee to the next county, I'll track you down. Kiao Kiao pressed her body against the door, trying to peek inside. Let's see what interesting things you're up to. Her face full of suspicion. She wondered, why is there no noise? Could it be they're being overly cautious? Kiao Kiao licked her finger to wet it, then poked a hole in the paper window, peeking through. You don't want me to hear? Huh, fine, then I have no choice but to use my eyes and see for myself what the heck you're up to. When Kiao Kiao finally looked inside, her eyes widened in shock. The sight of two men undressing each other in a sealed room was beyond stimulating. Zhang Zicheng was taking off his shirt while Yi Shen's hand was on his body. Moreover, the expression on Zhang Zicheng's face left little to the imagination for someone with a vivid mind like Kiao Kiao. But in reality, Zhang Zicheng was merely showing Yi Shen a seal on the right side of his chest. Yi Shen was examining it with his eyes and feeling it with his hand. As the pattern of the seal seemed somewhat familiar, there's no mistaking it. He's indeed Zhang Kongbang's son. With a face full of pride, Zhang Zicheng said, "This seal was carved by my own hand and serves as the symbol of the Zhang family's inheritance. Senior, please believe me." Yi Shen smiled softly. "I still vividly remember the scene of you and your father marching into battle with me. In the blink of an eye. You've grown so much." Zhang Zicheng clasped his hands and began recounting. "I fear, Senior, you may not know the whole story. 40 years ago, when my father was in poor health, he called me to his bedside, broke a bundle of sticks, and then passed the title of City Lord to me. At that time, aside from my father, there was another person in the room, the ancient sovereign. That person was wearing a black cloak. When Zhang Zicheng's father, Zhang Kongbang, was lying on his deathbed, the ancient sovereign came to visit, saying, 'So, you are the next city lord. Huh, you look like you'll live for quite a while.' Zhang Zicheng, still young at the time, respectfully knelt on one knee, clasping his hands and replied, 'I dare not claim such. Tianshu City was built by you. I'm only acting as city lord in place of my father. You're a good child. No wonder Zhang Kong loved you so much. To keep it short, besides keeping an eye on the Tianshu family, I want you to regularly send me reports. When the master of the Tianshu finds it, you must tell the Tianshu master to go immediately to the blessed land cave heaven after retrieving the book.'" Master, Zhang Zicheng mimicked the demeanor of the ancient sovereign as he narrated to Yi Shen, pleading, "You must keep this matter a secret from everyone." Honestly, the whole thing was quite revolting and disgusting. Yi Shen pondered over the ancient sovereign, thinking, could it be that person is? Zhang Zicheng jumped in to finish the thought. "That's right, that person was your third disciple, Luan Yan. The ancient sovereign has held power in the southern continent for years and has long since become the ruler of the realm." Yi Shen thought to himself, "I knew it. Even my weakest disciple, my third one, has risen to such prominence. But on the other hand, the blessed land cave heaven, isn't that the barren mountain where I left those 3 old immortal herbs? And you're telling me I have to go there without letting Yanni know? What excuse can I come up with to cover this?" As Yi Shen was lost in thought, Zhang Zicheng suddenly called out, "Senior," and immediately knelt down, bowing his head. This left Yi Shen utterly confused. "Little Zhang, what in the world are you doing? The position of City Lord wasn't supposed to be passed down to me so soon. After all, it was my father's lifelong dream to personally welcome the master of the Tianshu. My father trained arduously every day, but who could have predicted he'd one day fall to demonic cultivation deviation? I know I shouldn't trouble you, Senior, with something so trivial, but I still wish to humbly request your assistance." While speaking, Zhang Zicheng began sobbing, his tears falling to the floor. It seemed this matter had weighed on him for a long time. Sensing this, Yi Shen extended his hand and gently patted his head. "Little Zhang, your father and I have had a long-standing friendship. How could I ever turn my back on him?" "Where is he now?" Zhang Zicheng, teary-eyed, replied, "My father is currently recuperating in the Kunlun Ice Range. It's a long journey. For now, you should go to the meeting place with the ancient sovereign as planned." Meanwhile, outside, Kiao Kiao, unable to hear the conversation and with her limited viewpoint, completely misunderstood the situation. She clutched her head and screamed, "What a pervert. I've realized their conversation is fake, but their love for each other is real. That's why I let them continue, so they could have their little private meeting here. I've waited a long time for this moment. And now you're toying with me? How ridiculous. Qiao could no longer contain her frustration. She kicked open the door and burst inside, startling both Yi Shen and Zhang Zicheng. Who wants to share anything with another man? Don't even think about it. Qiao threw a confusion bomb into the room. A loud explosion followed. Once the chaos had subsided, Qiao entered the room, finding Yi Shen unconscious. Qiao grinned wickedly. This body is mine now. No matter how strong you are, once you've been hit by my sleeping powder, you'll surely fall unconscious. And of course, I want to enjoy this body to its fullest. Just as Qiao was about to devour Yi Shen, the Qian Shu suddenly fell out. The Qian Shu opened on its own and began to glow. Qiao was completely baffled by what was happening. Before she could react, countless beautiful celestial maidens began flying out from the Qian Shu. They surrounded Qiao, wrapping her in their embrace, filling her with overwhelming pleasure. What is this? Why are these things coming out of the Qian Shu? Oh no, it's coming, I'm about to. In reality, there were no celestial maidens at all. It was all an illusion Qiao imagined after being entranced by the Qian Shu. Now, she was being restrained by the Qian Shu itself, but the sensations of pleasure continued to flood her body. Suddenly, Qiao noticed purple rings forming above her head. This shape, this color, what's happening now? Qiao's vision grew blurry as she became fully hypnotized. The Qian Shu then released its hold on her. Qiao, now like a puppet, stood up and walked over to where Yi Shen lay. She sat right on top of him with an expression full of desire and wicked intent. She began lifting her skirt, her body exuding a lewd and demonic aura, her eyes ravenously fixated on Yi Shen. Yi Shen had just been hit by a sedative, but with his profound cultivation, he gradually regained consciousness. This scent, could it be drunken spirit pill? As he opened his eyes, he saw something soft obstructing his view. This globe, why does it seem so strange? When that globe touched his face, Yi Shen realized it was Qiao lying on top of him, pressing her soft bosom against his face. He immediately sat up, but Qiao still clung to him tightly, not letting go. Her eyes were dreamy, as if still in some enchantment. What situation is this? Heavens! Yi Shen pushed her away. Don't get so close to me. He tried to recall, before he lost consciousness. She had kicked the door in and spoken some incomprehensible words. At that time, everyone was still normal. Something must have happened afterward. As soon as he released her, Qiao hugged him again. Why is she holding me once more? One of her hands clung to Yi Shen's shoulder, while the other placed on his chest. Then she continued to move face to face with him, as if she wanted to kiss. But that was just everyone's thought. In reality, she was sniffing him. Qiao continued to sniff all over Yi Shen's body, gradually moving downwards. Yi Shen was startled, his face turning as red as a tomato. Perhaps it's the effect of the drug. Just as Qiao was about to employ some secret technique, Yi Shen quickly pulled her cheek up, looking at her with a puzzled gaze. Qiao's eyes suddenly widened. She unexpectedly grabbed Yi Shen's hand and pulled it towards her. Then she brought it close to her mouth. Her eyes filled with longing, and started licking it gently, reminiscent of a pup licking its master's face. Her eyes were full of affection, as if she was hoping to be patted and caressed lovingly by her master. Yi Shen felt a sense of familiarity. This action is no different from a puppy. He turned to look at the heavenly book. Sure enough, it had been opened. So that's how it is. At this moment, Yi Shen understood the issue. To experiment, he lifted a finger. Qiao's gaze instantly focused on the finger, but it seemed to have little effect. As Qiao lunged at Yi Shen like a cat seeing butter, mouth open and tongue out, eyes filled with fervor, Yi Shen awkwardly dodged. It's just as expected. The most challenging situation has arisen. In truth, Yi Shen secretly referred to the heavenly book as Small Yellow Book, containing a collection of treasures he had amassed over the years. To avoid detection, he had placed a restriction named Great Isolation Translocation on the heavenly book. If someone else deliberately touches it, they will be brainwashed. Why can this girl see it? But she's one of Yanni's. I can't just ignore it. Yi Shen sighed. What a hassle. He pretended to throw something with a flick of his hand. Kiao Kiao, with the spirit of a puppy, quickly looked in the direction of his hand. Seeing nothing, she turned back, puffed out her chest, and barked, "Woof woof woof." Yi Shen thought, "It's her good fortune to have met me." The principle of the great divergence of sentiments is a dog's soul merging with a human soul. If ordinary techniques are used to dispel it, it will damage the soul, turning the person into a fool. Yi Shen gently pressed Kiao Kiao to the ground, and extracted the dog's soul from her. Kiao Kiao was saved without harming her soul form. Just before the soul was completely removed, Kiao Kiao managed to bark once more, then rolled her eyes and fell into a deep sleep. Limbs sprawling, mouth open and drooling, Yi Shen used the heavenly book to heal her. Her sleeping posture truly is one of a kind. He thought, it seems she's been very tired. Let the heavenly book grant her a sweet dream. By the time she wakes up, the technique will be completely dispelled. I have helped her once. I hope she keeps my secret in return. Remembering the disciples' instructions, once you obtain the heavenly book, quickly head to the Blessed Ground Cave. Yi Shen sighed. Must I go to the Blessed Ground Cave again? Well, it's a good chance to slip away quickly while these two are still asleep. Avoiding trouble when explaining, he turned to leave. But Kiao Kiao subconsciously grabbed his robe, pulling him back. Is she awake? Kiao Kiao was still dreaming, mumbling, "Master." Yi Shen was surprised, not understanding what was happening. She continued to cry and say, "Wait a moment. Kiao Kiao will behave properly. I can definitely protect you. Would you accompany me to see the Lantern Festival?" "Master." Kiao Kiao doesn't want to be left alone. Being kind-hearted, Yi Shen couldn't bear to leave. He wiped her tears and sat back to wait. "Well, I'll stay until she wakes up before leaving." Kiao Kiao gradually stopped mumbling and slept soundly. A few hours later, Zhang Zicheng awoke, confused. Why did I suddenly fall asleep? Where has the senior gone? On Luan Yanni's side, after sending someone to invite Yi Shen back but failing, she appeared quite displeased. Her gentle voice instilled exceptional fear in her subordinates, to the point where they only dared to kneel, bowing their heads in silence, not daring to lift them. And then, "Is this the reason why you could not invite the honored one back?" she inquired. The trembling female subordinate replied, "By the time I arrived, the honored one was no longer within the city." The female attendant standing beside the Empress pointed and shouted, "Nonsense! Your Majesty is the great disciple whom the honored one regards highly. He would not leave without saying farewell. Could it be that you colluded with Zhang Zicheng to lure the honored one elsewhere?" The terrified subordinate kowtowed urgently, clarifying, "This is also something I wish to report to you, Your Majesty. I heard that a female fortune teller risked her life to save the honored one, and thereafter she fell into a deep coma," Zhang Zicheng stated. Suddenly, the Empress sat up, stretching, startling everyone present. "I pardon you from death. Speak." The female subordinate quickly replied, "The honored one intended to find medicine for that female fortune teller, so he took her along." The Empress smiled. "Is that all?" "Master remains the same, always, respecting the old and cherishing the young." Although she was smiling and speaking softly, the phrase, "respecting the old and cherishing the young," carried profound implications. Having followed the Empress for many years, the female attendant beside her instantly understood that the Empress was extremely infuriated. When the Empress was angry, the consequences were unpredictable. Even a smile from the Empress made the subordinates break into a cold sweat. The Empress stepped down and commanded, "Servants, prepare my attire." The servants promptly dressed her in a red garment, the attire the Empress fancied greatly. Once dressed, the Empress coldly declared, "I will personally invite the honored one back to the city." The female subordinate beside her hastily intervened, "Your Majesty, that must not be." But she immediately fell silent upon meeting the Empress's ice-cold, murderous gaze. She felt as if standing face to face with death itself. The Empress smiled and inquired, "Why can it not be? Are you implying you are about to become my master? Or is it that shrimp excrement is about to reverse the natural order?" The subordinate quickly bowed in apology. "I would not dare. It was not my intention. I only considered the circumstances." "Your Majesty." Contemplating the words, "the circumstances," the Empress could only sigh. "I am aware that the Blood River ancestor has attained the realm of life and death power. He is openly recruiting forces in the north. possibly harboring malicious intent to invade our sect. Hence I cannot leave the city. The Empress furrowed her brows and softly called, Shen, upon which a graceful silhouette entered from outside. She is the subordinate of the Empress General Tai He's subordinate, General Chia Chun, possessing fox ears, sharp claws, and a six-pack abdomen. Although she is a woman, she will slap away anyone who dares to touch the Empress. She gallantly stepped in and responded, This subordinate hears your command. Beloved official Chia, you are to invite the honored one back here on my behalf. Furthermore, I want you to disseminate a message to the outside. Your Majesty, please rest assured, the heavenly origin continent is no bigger than a nostril. The honored one will be unable to go anywhere. Meanwhile, over on Yi Shen's side, he was feeling extremely bothered. The reason was that Xiao Qiao kept clinging to him without leaving even half a step. In order to shake her off, he had to use the spiritual power of the celestial book to cloak his body and vanish. Qiao looked around bewildered. Oh, this is unreal. Where did he go? What is happening? Yi Shen looked at Qiao, pondering, why is this woman so troublesome? To escape from her, I even had to use the celestial book's concealment technique. How did she find her way here? Qiao closed her eyes and used her nose to sniff. Her nose was more sensitive than 100 spirits. TSK, that's not right. The fragrance is still around here. But there was no other way. She took out 2 talismans from her pouch and hurled them into the air. Even though tracking talismans are precious, if I use them to find you, I won't consider it a waste. I will find you. Yi Shen felt extremely annoyed. He snapped his fingers, destroying the 2 talismans instantly. Qiao noticed the commotion and immediately knew it was Yi Shen's doing. She was overjoyed. Cultivator, you are really around here, aren't you? But she still couldn't see anyone, which left her feeling dejected and sorrowful. Yi Shen still assumed this was someone sent by Yanni to follow him. He thought, now you won't be able to find me anymore. Will you? The person who wanted her to follow me must be Yanni. But no matter the reason, I cannot take her to Fuxian Cave. I apologize. Yi Shen turned to leave when Qiao suddenly spoke. Do you hate me that much? Yi Shen stopped in his tracks. Qiao continued, her voice a bit emotional. I'm sorry for what happened at the Celestial Book Gathering. It was I who carelessly took the stage and caused you so much trouble. But I truly want to save you. No, I mean even if I die, I will save you. But I truly want to save you. No, I mean even if I die, I will save you. Yi Shen found these words a bit strange. If she was someone from Yanni, she should be aware of his capabilities. But why was this girl behaving this way? Qiao hesitated. She recalled the image of the demon Buddha statue, and the words he had spoken before. In truth, I do not have much time left. But before I die, there is a long-held wish I have. I have tried many times. Now I am certain that only you can help me. You may laugh at me, despise me, or disregard me. You need not give me anything. Anything will do, until you nod in agreement to help me. I will certainly not give up. Qiao clutched her clothes tightly. Tears started to flow. Please take me with you and help me. You may treat me like a pitiful dog if you wish. I will do anything. Yi Shen, seeing this pitiful state of Qiao, felt his heart soften. He then retracted the celestial tome and came out of his invisible state. Qiao, upon seeing Yi Shen, was overjoyed. He finally appeared. How wonderful. She quickly wiped away her tears. Thank you, I promise not to cause any more trouble. Oh, by the way, you really like dogs, don't you? I can still pretend to be a dog without needing the celestial tome. Poor Qiao, yet she felt that this was already quite good. As long as Yi Shen happily agreed and was willing to help her, her master could be saved. Suddenly, Yi Shen approached and used a small knife to stab straight into Qiao's chest. Qiao was utterly astonished. Before falling, she couldn't stop wondering, why would you want to do this? But actually, these things were merely Qiao's imagination. Yi Shen was still pondering, what just happened? Why did this woman suddenly faint midway? Or is she trying to play the victim here? Suddenly, Yi Shen sensed an unusual aura. He turned to look towards the nearby canyon. Clouds and dust filled the air, and thunder roared. There must be something coming this way. From within the thick mist, Empress Luan Yanni suddenly emerged. Strangely, This time she was adorned in a pure white garment instead of the vibrant red she usually wore. Her eyes gazed at Yi Shen with deep longing. "Master." Yi Shen was surprised. "Is it Yanni?" The Empress slowly approached, her voice carrying a tone of reproach. "Master, why have you not fulfilled your promise to me? Did you not say you would return after obtaining the heavenly book? Could it be that you wish to break your promise to me once more?" Yi Shen replied, "How could it be so? It's not that I wish to break my promise. But," Luan Yanni interrupted, "you could have at least left me a letter. Am I not worth mentioning in your eyes?" Master, noticing the strange look and expression on her face, unlike the usual Yanni, Yi Shen grasped the hand she placed on his face, and coldly responded, "Just as expected. You are not worth mentioning at all because you are not Luan Yanni." Without any hesitation, Yi Shen swung his hand, slicing the Yanni before him in two. The fake Yanni immediately transformed into swirling spiritual energy in the air, emitting eerie and strange sounds. Yi Shen looked at the spiritual energy, furrowing his brow. As expected. It's a star phantom. Star phantoms are mid-level spirits in the Thangyuan continent, specializing in stirring negative emotions in cultivators. They often use illusions to disguise themselves as the relatives of their targets, waiting for a chance to infiltrate their minds, trapping them in an illusion until their spiritual energy is drained. Yi Shen reasoned. That woman suddenly collapsed. It must have been a trick of the star phantom. But their illusion magic is most effective at night. Why did it appear during the day? Moreover, elements in an illusion often lack physical form. Yet it really touched me earlier. This is indeed strange. Suddenly, the spiritual energy of the star phantom flew towards Kiao Kiao, who was lying down, surrounding her and attempting to invade her mind. Yi Shen hurriedly formed a seal, waving his hand, to expel the spiritual energy from Kiao Kiao. However, he felt something was amiss with her. Kiao Kiao is crying and struggling. Even though she's unconscious, something's not right. I clearly set up a barrier to ward off the star spirits. Yet her condition is worsening. Could it be that she is on the brink of being completely consumed by them? In Kiao Kiao's dream, memories from her childhood suddenly flood back. The little girl plays with stones while chanting a rhyme, "Let the leeches go. Don't scold the women, spare the men." Rice as white as cotton, grain as yellow as turmeric. Mid-chant, she turns around and beams a bright smile. "Elder brother, elder sister, do you want to play with me?" Nearby, at the foot of a statue, the corpses of several people lay scattered, having been brutally killed. With no one replying, Kiao Kiao feels despondent, bowing her head with a sigh. It's really not fun at all. Anyway, I've always been like this. All alone, with no one caring about me. Everyone in this world wishes for my demise. I've been hunted down, forced to flee, and pushed to retaliate, repeating this cycle day after day. When will I ever escape this endless cycle? Stepping outside, Kiao Kiao suddenly encounters a woman sitting in the rain, laughing maniacally. She raises a cup to drown her sorrows, looking at Kiao Kiao and saying, "So, here you are, my good disciple." After days of being relentlessly hunted, Kiao Kiao assumes this person is also here to kill her. She responds, "What nonsense are you spouting? I don't understand." Kiao Kiao already has a dagger concealed behind her back, ready to strike at any opportunity. The woman stands up, dusts off her clothes to shake off the rain, and continues, "Hey, just stay right there and don't move. Let me explain everything to you in detail. I am Shen Suanzi, from the Xuanji sect, and my Dao name is Demon Spirit Weird. Half a month ago, Heavenswell gave me a message. If I traveled 100 miles to the west, I would encounter my destined disciple, which is you." Kiao Kiao gives a smile that couldn't be more forced. "I see. Then I must call you Master. Right? Does that mean you'll give me anything I want? For instance, your life?" She draws the dagger and thrusts it straight into Shen Suanzi's abdomen. Whether she foresaw this move, it's unclear, but her expression is one of shock. Kiao Kiao bites her lip in hatred. "What kind of master are you? I've seen too many people like you. So-called master-disciple lineage. Senior apprentice brother, second senior sister, junior apprentice brother. All because the master demanded the strongest disciple. I've killed so many. I beg you all." Kiao Kiao, in a frenzy, stabs Shen Suanzi dozens of times. After she collapses and is completely motionless, Kiao Kiao finally stops. Those who lay in the temple earlier were also slain by her own hands. She looks forlornly at the lifeless Shen Suanzi and laments, "But why do you all still refuse to let me go?" Suddenly, Kiao Kiao felt dizzy. Her hand lost strength, and she dropped the dagger. Blood began to flow profusely from the corners of her eyes and mouth. In extreme confusion, she thought, "Am I suffering a backlash? Could this be the end of my life? No family, no friends. I haven't even tasted the flavor of dog meat yet. This young woman has caused countless deaths. Yes, I have no choice but death. If there is a next life, I only wish for an ordinary life." Suddenly, a voice startled Kiao Kiao. "Why wait for the next life? One life is enough. The divine calculator still lives. She is casting a healing spell for both." Her gaze upon Kiao Kiao held no resentment or anger. Even though Kiao Kiao had nearly killed her, "Master will help you circulate your true qi to preserve your life. Isn't that enough? Don't move." Kiao Kiao felt overwhelmingly moved. Until now, everyone who approached her wished to take her life. No one ever offered help. Especially considering she had just stabbed this person. Yet, there was no blame. Kiao Kiao sobbed, Can I survive?" The divine calculator smiled gently. "Nonsense. I've been pierced through and still live. So why wouldn't you? Don't worry anymore. From now on, I will protect you, safeguard you for a lifetime." After a swift passage of happy memories, suddenly a horrifying scene appeared. Kiao Kiao stood before the divine calculator. Her master was impaled by a large stake, pinned to the wall. Surrounding were chains sealing her power. Bleeding from the mouth, eyes unfocused, Kiao Kiao looked at her master, crying, "Master, don't be afraid. This time I've come to save you. As long as I find the holy body of Absolute Yang and dual cultivate with him, I can restore the life essence you've lost." Outside, Yi Shen noticed Kiao Kiao's condition was worsening. The spiritual bewitchment was gradually eroding her mind. This can't go on any longer. It must be resolved swiftly. At this moment, Yi Fan had summoned numerous female spirit entities from within the celestial tome, preparing to forcibly enter Kiao Kiao's mind to save her. It turns out that these spiritual entities were not summoned from the celestial book by Yi Shen, but were transformed by Xing Mi. Moreover, they took on the appearance of his senior disciple, Luan Yanni. Nearly a dozen beautiful Luan Yanni were staring at Yi Shen with incredibly alluring eyes. Furthermore, there seemed to be an enchanting aura in the air, and they were trying to seduce and attack his mind. One of them suddenly chuckled softly, her eyes appearing to be in a daze, her face blushing deeply as she looked at Yi Shen with immense desire. The Xingmi immediately rushed in to embrace Yi Shen, wrapping around him in 4 layers and using the softest parts of their bodies to make contact with him to distract and lower his guard. They used melons to cover Yi Shen's eyes while provocatively saying, "Play the husband and wife game with us. Show us your strength. Do you enjoy dragging cannons over mountains? Or do you prefer kneading buns? Perhaps whipping is more to your liking. We can cater to all your desires." These Xingmi were all avatars of a singular Xingmi standing outside, controlling them. Seeing that Yi Shen showed no resistance, she laughed triumphantly. "Very well, lose yourself in pleasure. I will drain all your spiritual energy." At this moment, Yi Shen was being controlled by 6 melons. But his mind remained exceptionally clear, not the least bit enchanted. He simply shouted softly, "Get off me." One of the Xingmi frowned. "Why does this feel wrong? Why isn't he enchanted?" Yi Shen swung his arm forcefully, directly dispelling the Xingmi surrounding him. The shockwave also toppled the true form of the Xingmi standing in the distance. Yet she seemed she hadn't given up her intentions. Xingmi seductively licked her lips and said, "Oh good teacher, you have such strength, and your speed is impressive too. This is going to be thrilling. Are you in a hurry? You enjoy being assertive and vigorous, don't you? But let me tell you something important. Women prefer to take the lead." Xingmi stomped forcefully, causing Yi Shen to fall. "It's best if you obediently lie down. Teacher, just lie still and let me serve you. I will show you how Central Plain women ride horses valiantly. Teacher, transform into my horse." Suddenly, Xingmi's body jolted as if an electric current ran through her. Feeling ecstatic, "Oh, why is my lower abdomen suddenly heating up? Clearly, I haven't even removed my pants yet. What is happening? What have you done to me?" At that moment, Yi Shen had grasped Xingmi's foot and smiled. Do you not know? Yi Shen pressed firmly on the joy point in the sole of her foot. True to its name, it's a point that can bring pleasure. Clearly, you've cultivated into a physical form, yet still haven't explored it thoroughly. Xingmi was overwhelmed, unable to hold back anymore, and released water in a shower, ecstasy evident on her face. Her body trembled uncontrollably, occasionally twitching. Stop, you must stop. Yi Shen smiled and pondered. Is your true form about to be revealed? Tinmi screamed in fear. My good master, please spare me. At this moment, Yi Fan had seized Tinmi's true form. Spare you? You are a spirit born from human desire. To deal with you, one must rid oneself of human desires. Calm the mind, avoid lust, causing you intense pleasure will reveal your true form. Yi Fan continued to firmly press on the pleasure point beneath Tinmi's foot. Her spiritual energy fluctuated violently, gradually concentrating under Yi Fan's hand. If I let you go today, who knows how many more victims will fall prey to you. Tinmi, stubborn as ever, tried to use Luan Yanni's appearance to soften Yi Fan's heart. Master, look closely, I am truly Luan Yanni. Why are you so cruel to cause me such pain? Yi Fan's voice was firm. Silence. You think you're worthy of calling yourself my Yanni? The mark on Yanni's forehead was because she went to the Lianqi pool to cleanse her marrow for the sake of the sect. The pain of cleansing the marrow was immense. Even I couldn't endure it. But Yanni didn't shed a single tear. Instead, she pitied her junior disciple and secretly hid in a dark corner, blaming herself for not meeting expectations. How could such a kind and upright person serve others with her body simply for selfish desires? As for you, you're just a pathetic demon creature driven by lust, stealing others' memories, trampling and mocking them. Do you think you're superior to others? Foolish, go die. Yi Fan grasped tightly onto Tinmi's true form and forcefully pulled it out of the flesh body. Tinmi screamed in agony. It's not easy for me to cultivate to this form. My body, Tinmi's spiritual energy was completely drained. Its body withered and became hideously grotesque. Tinmi, using its last ounce of strength, charged towards the unconscious Kiao Kiao. Crazy fool, may you be single for life. My chance is still here. This woman is still in a trance. If I can possess her, I can recover. I don't want to disappear. Tinmi was about to seize Kiao Kiao's body, but Yi Fan intervened in time. Suddenly, with a swift motion, Tinmi was unexpectedly sliced in half. Yi Fan was startled with surprise, as a serrated sword flew from nowhere, embedding itself right above Kiao Kiao's head. It turned out that the one who intervened at that moment was General Taihe. She approached with an impressive bearing, her treasured sword unsheathed, its gleaming blade radiating power. Every movement was deliberate yet striking, exuding an irresistible coolness. Then, she slowly removed her mask, her sharp gaze fixed directly on Yi Fan. Her lips curled into a half-amused, half-serious smile, as she lowered her voice challengingly. Venerable One, finding you isn't difficult, is it? As if from start to finish. It was all a game where she already held the victory in her hands. It is said that in the west of the Shangyuan continent, a celestial being once created a primordial secret art. To perform this secret art, two cultivators must together devour the mysterious stone, allowing them to summon a spiritual fetus from their bodies. With the blessing of the bloodthirsty formation, these two spiritual fetuses are capable of telepathic communication. Not only can they resonate and elevate their cultivation realm, but they can also communicate from afar. This celestial being named the secret art Lingxi Tongshan. General He, with bloodshot eyes, stared unblinkingly at Yi Shen. The blood aura reflected in her eyes made others' hair stand on end. Yi Shen met her gaze and was momentarily startled, involuntarily retreating a few steps. It wasn't the fear of the woman's gaze, but rather the recognition that this woman had cultivated the legendary Lingxi Tong skill. And the person she had cultivated it with was none other than his eldest disciple. Luan Yanni, Empress Luan Yanni, at this moment, spoke to Yi Shen through General He, her voice and gaze distinctly her own. Master, do you still remember Yanni? As she spoke, General He approached Yi Shen. Yi Shen, both confused and slightly trembling with fear. My spiritual fetus is of the crimson rank. 1 in 10,000 years. Even if you turn to ashes, Master, I would still recognize you. The Empress furrowed her brows. Her gaze filled with judgment as she questioned, "Master, why are you so unkempt? Preoccupied with flings with Xingmi and forgetting to return to the city? Isn't that right?" Yi Shen broke into a cold sweat. Stammeringly asked the Empress, "Did you see everything?" The Empress smiled brightly, her face seemingly pleased yet instilling fear in Yi Shen. "I saw it all, from start to finish, every detail clearly. Yanni knows everything, whether Master praises me or is searching for medicine for that female cultivator. Which is why it took so long to return to the city." Yi Shen's face went blank for a moment, his jaw unconsciously dropping. He wondered and asked, "Really? Then where did this woman come from?" The Empress raised her voice, "Don't try to change the subject." Thereafter, the Empress and Yi Shen sat under a tree to confide. Yi Shen narrated the entire story from the time he left the city to the Empress without omitting a single word. After listening, the Empress pondered. "So, Master, you encountered this female cultivator, and mistakenly thought she was someone I had arranged in Tianshu City?" Yi Shen nodded repeatedly. "Exactly." Thinking back, Yi Shen realizes, no wonder it seemed off. Clearly, Yanni had sent a message instructing not to look at other women. And shortly after, a female cultivator was sent to greet him. "It turns out I had mistaken her." The Empress continued to question, "But what of it? Are you playing dumb? Even if Master misidentified her, she still knowingly followed you." Yi Shen replied honestly, "There is indeed more to the story. This woman followed me to seek my help." Hearing this address, the Empress felt somewhat reassured knowing that Master did not regard her as a woman. The Empress wondered, why? Does she have an enemy? Yi Shen explained, "The exact details I'm still unsure of, but when Xingmi overwhelmed her, she once called out for Master. I suspect it has something to do with her sect." The Empress groused, "Yes. Yes. Yes. Master is a righteous person, confronting injustices head-on, constantly meddling in others' affairs." Yi Shen laughed softly, casting an affectionate glance at General He, who harbored the Empress's spirit. "That is indeed true, but if it were Yanni, would you intervene in such matters?" The Empress, for a moment, did not respond, silently gazing at Yi Shen, recalling the past, when General He was captured and tortured by the righteous cultivators. It was true that Luan Yanni had stepped up to handle the matter and rescue General He. In this aspect, she and her master were indeed alike. Nevertheless, the Empress feigned indifference, coldly stating, "I don't care. Master, don't you know, now you are the great devil that everyone seeks to name and destroy. The matter that needs resolving will soon have someone come to take care of it." The Empress's words implied that Yi Shen should ignore the female cultivator and return to the city, as someone else will assist her eventually. However, Yi Shen immediately retorted, "Nonsense." The Empress was taken aback by the master's serious reaction. Yi Shen stood up and continued, "If everything were truly as you said, this little girl would have died countless times by now." The Empress had witnessed the entire sequence of events from the start and thus knew all the dangers the female cultivator faced. Yi Shen's words were indeed correct. The master knew that Yanni was a kind-hearted girl with a positive belief in the world. "Surely, over the years, you have endured a lot, haven't you? Now that your master has returned, you can be true to yourself. Even if the sky falls, your master will protect you." These words directly touched the soft heart of the Empress. In an instant, she felt a surge of emotion. Her inner self seemed healed. Her eyes and expression said it all. Pursing her lips for a moment, the Empress muttered, "You are such a fool." Yi Shen did not hear clearly, so he was puzzled and confused. The Empress walked away and said, "What I meant is, fine, with the master here, the worldly troubles in this world, the disciple no longer needs to worry. Now that everything is settled, Master, quickly return to the city. Do not linger here any longer, or I will truly cut your leg off and make soup from it." As she spoke, the Empress looked at Yi Shen with eyes full of enchantment, yet not lacking in seriousness. Her words were no joke. Having finished speaking, the fierce expression of the Empress's divine consciousness left the body of Iron Crane General, making way for Iron Crane's blue divine consciousness to return to his body. A second later, Iron Crane opened his eyes wide, his attitude full of anger and disgust. Iron Crane bristled and raised his scales, shouting, "Although Her Majesty has pardoned you, I have not. Seeing this demeanor, Yi Shen knew the other had reverted to his usual self. Iron Crane followed along, grumbling. Her Majesty ordered me to follow you until you return to the city. So I will watch you closely. Yi Shen sighed. Is that so? It's troublesome for you then. Yi Shen's journey now had yet another companion. More and more people joining him. This little girl hasn't woken up yet. Let me see how she is. Iron Crane abruptly intervened. You must not touch her. Let me check for you. I am executing Her Majesty's orders not to let you touch other women. General Tai he utilized his sense of smell, more acute than a dog's, to sniff around Xiao Qiao Qiao. She then placed her ear against Qiao Qiao's chest to listen to her heartbeat. However, impeded by the large melon, she couldn't hear a thing. Tai he then used her fingernail to tear open Xiao Qiao Qiao's clothing for a closer inspection. Yi Shen stood there, shocked. Stop. Wait. Tai he turned around, puzzled. What now? Yi Shen hastily covered his eyes, explaining, a woman is tending to her wounds. It is improper for me to watch. I'll retreat into the forest for a moment. With that, he hurriedly fled, inwardly relieved. With her taking care of the little girl, I no longer need to worry about her. Now I can finally reach the Blessed Land Cave. Suddenly, General Tai He's serrated sword whizzed through the air and embedded itself before him. Yi Shen remained still, not daring to move. If you find it inconvenient, merely turn your back and close your eyes. But do not leave my sight. This is an order from His Majesty. Yi Shen broke out in a cold sweat at his nape, not daring to protest. Getting no response from Yi Shen, Tai he inquired sternly, Reverend, did you hear what I said? Yi Shen remained turned away and asked, I understand. How is that little girl doing? Inwardly cursing the shameless man, Tai he answered, the demon essence has infiltrated her inner core, not easily resolved. We can only use a conservative method to awaken her first. Yi Shen thought to himself, normally in such cases, the spirit should be extracted and repaired with magic. But this typically harms the body. Conservative method, could it be a newly developed technique by future generations? Yi Shen snuck a glance back to see how things were progressing, and unexpectedly saw General Tai he gradually undressing. Her back was covered with scars, the marks of hundreds of battles. In contrast, her rounded hips were smooth and unblemished. Tai he glanced coldly over her shoulder, and Yi Shen fearfully looked away. Thereafter, the moans from Xiao Qiao Qiao filled the air. So, there's a reaction. It turns out it's here. Why is the belt so tight? Hearing Tai He's words, Yi Shen's mind was no longer pure, nor did he dare to sneak another peek. He told himself, I shouldn't let curiosity get the better of me. It wasn't until that night, when the moon was high in the sky, that the treatment for Qiao Qiao concluded. General Tai he rose, stretching in the breeze. Her body was now soaked with sweat. It's mostly done. Looking at her condition, she'll likely awaken soon. This should put your mind at ease. Correct, Reverend. Tai he cast a glance at Yi Shen, who was withering both physically and mentally from the long wait, as well as from the inability to find a way to reach the Blessed Land Cave. He forced a smile and said, You have worked hard. Tai he queried, You look exhausted. Is something the matter? Yi Shen thought to himself, Are you asking if something is the matter? I'm exhausted because of you. Can't you let me leave? In reality, while Tai he was tending to Qiao Qiao, Yi Shen had devised numerous excuses to slip away, such as, the demon essence is harmful to humans. I will go to their lair to deal with them. Unfortunately, Tai he replied that the Empress had already sent a troop to annihilate them. Yi Shen then said, You worked hard to save others. Let me get some food for you. But Tai he replied that she hadn't eaten for more than 3 years now. Yi Shen, unwilling to give up, made another excuse. There must be some spiritual herbs growing around here. I want to pick some to replenish Tai he's energy. At this moment, Tai he was quite annoyed. She snapped, I'm not afraid, not hungry, not tired. Honorable one, you should just stay here. Yi Shen sighed, closing his eyes in resignation, then gathered all his courage and said, Actually, I want to leave the palace. No sooner had he spoken than a piece of bark fell right behind Yi Shen. Then give me the bark for what? Ma. Yi Shen stared at the piece of bark in shock. It turned out that General Tai he deliberately misunderstood leaving the palace as going to the restroom. And this piece of bark was for wiping. She wanted Yi Shen to conduct his business here, without permission to leave. Yi Shen was furious but helpless. feeling frustrated inside. Clearly, I had said I wanted to leave the palace. Yet in the end, I still couldn't escape, although I like dogs very much. It's by weight, by dish. Not this irritating kind like you. After a deep internal struggle, Yi Shen summed it up in one response: it's nothing. Tai He knew Yi Shen's thoughts well. She didn't want to address it, just gently reminded him. The vital essence of this female cultivator has been severely damaged. Her recovery is only temporary. Later she will have to find spiritual herbs to nourish herself. Now it's late, so finding things won't be easy. After so much effort until now, I am indeed a bit tired. Tai He spoke as she stretched to relieve her fatigue. How about we rest here and look for spiritual herbs at dawn? What do you think, Honorable One? Upon hearing this, Yi Shen immediately realized that the opportunity had arrived. He instantly agreed, patted Tai He on the shoulder and said, you should rest. I'll keep watch over you both. Tai He felt that something wasn't right with this pat on the shoulder. Before she could inquire further, she felt dizzy, her eyelids heavy as if weighed down by 1,000 pounds. Incredibly sleepy. In an instant, she fainted and fell to the ground, bottom upturned to the sky. Yi Shen apologized aloud. I pressed on your shui acupuncture point. The sleep point. You should rest assured and sleep well. With that, Yi Shen left the two lovely women sleeping together, swiftly sneaking away. In the blink of an eye, a breeze passed, confirming that Yi Shen had departed. Only then did Tai He open her eyes. It turned out she had been pretending to faint all along. At this moment, Xiao Kiao also slightly opened her eyes. This reminded me of the words of Zhang Wuji's mother, Yin Susu. Remember, my son, when you grow up, never believe the words of women. The more beautiful the woman, the easier she is to deceive. It turned out that these moves were all arranged by the Empress beforehand. Before giving orders to Tai He, the female emperor said, Xiao Chun, my master is easily moved. Do not keep your eyes too closely on this old man. Leave some room for maneuver, to see if my master is truly just helping or not. Then, Tai He followed the plan and skillfully coordinated the strategy. She wisely acted tough, then took advantage of complacency to allow Yi Fan to make his move, before secretly following to investigate. Seeing Tai He stand up and grab a sword to chase Yi Fan, Xiao's inner emotions fluctuated incessantly. Oh heavens, the silver-haired beast ears. It can't be wrong, she is General Tai He, the right hand of the female emperor. Looking at her posture, she is trying to catch that young lad. Xiao hastily sat up and tried to stop her. Wait. But she suddenly realized her clothes had been scattered at some point. She hurriedly grabbed the torn garment and covered her chest, continuously wondering, how did my clothes get shredded like this? Moreover, the inner core still leaves a slight ache. Xiao covered her face in bewilderment. Could it be that while I was unconscious, Tai He noticed and snorted. Oh, you're awake, huh? You've been intruded by Jingmei into your mind. Your inner core is unstable. So don't move rashly. Xiao was utterly shocked, couldn't contain herself and exclaimed, Jingmei, wait, it has infiltrated my mind. Xiao hastily searched her memories, recalling many insane scenes. Indeed, those unbelievable scenes. And what's with this silly puppy demeanor? She was so shocked that she became nearly unrecognizable, momentarily no longer resembling a person. After all her calculations, Xiao didn't anticipate being controlled by Jingmei. I've never been rude like this in front of others. Wait, now that I'm safe, could it be that male cultivator helped me? Did we do this and that? I suddenly feel a certain thrill within myself. Oh wow, it seems I still possess quite the allure. Xiao continued to daydream about all sorts of imaginary scenarios. General Tai He heard this and was overtly disgusted, but she paid little mind to it. She said something to Xiao and then continued on her way. Just let it be. Xiao, excited to find Yi Fan, asked, the general is looking for him. Isn't that right? Let me go with you. I must thank him greatly for sacrificing himself to save me. I have no choice but to repay this kindness with my own life. Tai He couldn't take it anymore. Turned back to grab Xiao, looking at her with a cold, icy gaze. Then, Tai He smirked and said, I did not realize you were such a person of deep affection and gratitude. Xiao brushed off Tai He's hand and replied, what is the general saying? To not repay kindness is akin to biting the hand that feeds you. Tai he spoke a sentence that left Xiao Qiao directly startled. Well said. Then repay me with your body. After all, I am your benefactor, aren't I? Xiao Qiao's fantasies shattered instantly, as her imagined scene with Yi Shen playing husband and wife faded away. What? Xiao Qiao screamed loudly, unable to believe her ears. How could this be? General Tai he drew a serrated sword, and unleashed a stream of purple sword energy that soared through the sky. The sword energy then formed a circle, enclosing Xiao Qiao, transforming into a small barrier that prevented her from stepping outside. Furthermore, this barrier could also keep ordinary demonic beings from attacking inside. All right, the intentions of the Exalted One are beyond your understanding. The person the Exalted One desires is the Empress. How could a mere star like you compete with the bright moon? Rest assured within, that barrier will ensure your safety. Stop dreaming. With that, General Tai he departed. Xiao Qiao watched with eyes tinged with sadness. But not because her rival was the Empress. It was because she had not yet dual cultivated with Yi Shen. I'm still young, and I still wish to dual cultivate. Xiao Qiao bit her lip, unwilling to submit. At this moment, General Tai he had already used Qinggong to traverse quite a distance. Despite having always been loyal to the Empress, Tai he found himself pondering, Your Majesty. Why must it be him? It turned out that Tai he and Empress Luan Yanni had shared a close bond for some time, which might have led Tai he to develop feelings for her. When commanded by the Empress to find Yi Shen, Tai he could not help but feel a twinge of jealousy. She bit her lip and softly called out, Yanni. Why? Overwhelmed with emotions, Tai he couldn't hold back tears. Suddenly, a voice called from behind, General. Turning around, Tai he was surprised to see Xiao Qiao had caught up. What? I clearly confined you back there. She hadn't expected her formation to fail in trapping such a minor cultivator. Xiao Qiao held a partially burnt talisman and replied, I have my own ways. General, there's no need to worry about that. Tai he slowly extended 2 fingers, gathering spiritual energy at their tips. I've underestimated her. Should I use a stronger technique? As she was about to strike, Xiao Qiao suddenly spoke up, General, you've misunderstood. I don't like him. I just lust after his body. Tai he grew furious. You shameless person. As Tai he and Xiao Qiao argued, Yi Shen had already reached his destination. He landed softly using his superior Qinggong. As the mist on the ground slowly dispersed, Yi Shen looked up at the cave entrance with a nostalgic expression. Finally, I have arrived at the Blessing Ground Cave. Heaven here, lush with spiritual herbs, the scenery primitive. Outside the cave entrance lay the remnants of old structures. Fireflies within the cave innumerable, creating an incredibly romantic scene. Yet, the depth of the Blessing Ground Cave, unfathomable, left one with a chilling sense. In all these years, no couple has ever dared to linger here. How would his second disciple have grown by now? The desolation of the cave entrance left Yi Shen feeling somewhat bewildered. A fragment of memory suddenly came rushing back, when Yi Shen was still teaching his disciples. Although at that time, his third disciple, Luan Yanni, was still very young, she was quite lively. In the blink of an eye, Luan Yanni had dug up a huge centipede and brought it to show Yi Shen. Master, look, I just dug this up from the ground. Luan Yanni joyfully exclaimed. Yi Shen, seeing this, was also delighted. This is a spirit-cleaving centipede, a creature found only in places with abundant spiritual energy. Luan, it seems we have come to the right place. Luan Yanni held the spirit-cleaving centipede like a pet and curiously asked. But master, why do we need to find a place to plant spiritual herbs? Aren't cultivators supposed to train in the morning and meditate at night? Yi Shen smiled and gently explained. That's not entirely wrong, but Luan, do you remember why I wanted to establish the Xuanji sect? Luan Yanni looked puzzled, then recited her master's motto, in chaotic times, seek the peach blossom spring, where scholars find delight. Despite reciting it, she didn't understand it. Yi Shen nodded slightly. Indeed, this is the path I have wholeheartedly sought. But to achieve this noble result, great magical abilities alone are not enough. With great power comes greater responsibility. Today, Luan and I found good land to cultivate spiritual herbs. In the future, it might enable us to help even more people. Luan Yanni replied innocently. Luan loves Master very much and also loves the things Master does. Rest assured, Master, Luan will turn this place into what you desire. Yi Shen laughed and replied. Ha, all right, let's borrow Luan's good fortune to name this place. We shall call it Blessed Land of the Heavenly Grotto. Back then, the Blessed Land of the Heavenly Grotto looked incredibly splendid and beautiful, with a grand and clean entrance like that of a palace. But now, it resembles nothing more than a den for some monstrous creatures. Pitifully desolate. Yi Shen sighed. Feeling nostalgic, Yi Shen suddenly thought, Luan has now become a woman capable of managing herself. How true is the old saying, a grown daughter cannot stay at home. Suddenly, Yi Shen sensed something. Ha, it seems the two lasses who were pretending to sleep earlier are chasing after my clone. I need to thank the little dog of a general. She deliberately showed a flaw, allowing me to seize the opportunity to lure the tiger out of the mountain. But deceiving others like this is also wrong. I should deal with the task at hand first, then compensate them later. They probably haven't caught up with my clone yet. Just as Yi Shen predicted, General Tiet Ha and Kiao were still closely tailing his clone but hadn't revealed themselves. The two of them hid behind a tree, with Kiao clinging tightly to Tiet Ha and burying her face into two grapefruits. Inhaling deeply, Tiet Ha was about to ask her what she was doing, when Kiao quickly covered her mouth. General, at this moment, say nothing. If he is left with psychological scars, he will never be able to lift his head again in his life. Taihe, filled with rage, shouted, his eyes blazing with anger. Are we just going to let him be like that? It's a waste for His Majesty to consider him a gentleman. Kiao, crossing her arms, nodded. I can understand his feelings. His Majesty the Empress's white moonlight. And yet he doesn't even spare the trees to satisfy his desires. It turns out that Yi Fan's clone, lacking spiritual intelligence, just crashed headlong into the tree in front of him, leading the two to mistakenly think Yi Fan was doing the tree. Upon closer inspection, his stance was proficient, with a rhythm both long and short. Truly a master. General Tai, he angrily retorted. Is now the time to provide a voice-over narration? No wonder he tries every way to leave. It turns out it's because he is driven by lust. Absolutely do not report this to His Majesty. It would surely taint their ears. Turning back, Taihe suddenly saw Kiao intending to undress herself, and moreover, advancing towards Yi Fan. She wanted to seize this opportunity to both fulfill Yi Fan's desire and dual cultivate, which would only benefit Kiao with no harm. Taihe hurriedly grabbed the ribbon of Kiao's garment and pulled her back. Stop right there. Kiao said, as the saying goes, if I do not go to hell, who will? The evil fire rages. Let me extinguish it. No need to thank me. Taihe gritted his teeth. Shut up. You truly are shameless. Yi Fan suddenly felt a chill down his spine, instinctively sneezing. Who's thinking about me? He wondered. Suddenly, Yi Fan saw a spark of light at the entrance of the cave. This is a fengerling. Unmistakably, fengerling can only grow in places where spiritual energy accumulates. Luan has managed this place very well. The girl loves to take credit. Wants me to come here quickly. Definitely thinking the peach orchard is complete. Intentionally not telling Yan Ni. Waiting just for my praise. Very well, I will go see what this otherworldly peach orchard looks like. Yi Fan proceeded deeper into the cave, unexpectedly encountering a giant centipede. It held another snake in its mouth. However, its lower body was marked with a large wound the size of the entrance to Cave Tian. The centipede, upon seeing him, glared with blood-red eyes, murderous intent rising, but Yi Fan was unfazed, merely yawning. Does this scene resemble an otherworldly peach orchard in the slightest? The giant centipede charged straight at Yi Fan. Yi Fan's expression grew serious, only to hear a very decisive swish from somewhere, as he effortlessly split the centipede in half with his bare hands. Yi Fan turned back and smiled. You've won. Then, he raised his fist high, gathered his strength and aimed a punch straight down at the ground. The ground cracked open, and Yi Fan descended into the orchard below. The scenery here was different, with lush greenery, abundant spiritual energy, and flowing waters. At a glance, there was even a statue of Yi Fan under the ancient tree. Yi Fan gently called out, have you played enough? Luan, From the air, streams of spiritual energy suddenly gathered in front of Yi Fan, and the figure of Luan Yan gradually appeared. Luan opened her eyes and was delighted to see her master. She immediately reached out to hold her master and spoke, "Master. It's been a long time. How are you? Did Luan give you quite a scare? Your spirit is still intact, right? In the heavenly cave and the demon beasts. It was all an illusion created by my Yuanying, wasn't it? It seems Luan has improved greatly." Luan Yan replied with a smile. "Didn't you already see through it? Master, this isn't the first day you've met me. It's been a long time since we've seen each other. Don't you want me to tease a little bit?" Yi Fan laughed with his eyes squinting. "Indeed. You did give me quite a scare. I nearly forgot how much Luan enjoys being praised and also likes to joke around." Luan Yan affectionately snuggled against Yi Fan. "Isn't that why you're the master? You're always the one who understands Luan best in the world. This girl is really all right. Tell me, what is so important that you had to hide it from even your senior sister? And didn't even tell me beforehand with your Yuanying projecting out?" At this, Luan hesitated to explain. "Actually, I'm not projecting out with my Yuanying. It's just my Yuanying left. Luan has actually passed away. So that's how it is." No wonder Luan Yan seemed a bit hesitant. Yet, her face remained cheerful and optimistic, even somewhat playful. Upon hearing the third disciple say that she had died, Yi Shen's face suddenly darkened, and a surge of uncontrollable rage rose within him. In an instant, his fury mixed with a dense killing intent, and his eyes were filled with death. He glared and asked, "Luan Yan, who was it that harmed you and made you like this?" Luan Yan, seeing her master so angry, hurriedly spoke, "Master, please calm your anger. In truth, this situation is one I chose myself. Words cannot fully describe it. Master, please use your own eyes to see." Luan Yan then extended her hand, gathering spiritual energy at the tip of her finger, before channeling it directly into Yi Shen's mind to recreate the memories of the past. Streams of spiritual energy surged into Yi Shen's sea of consciousness. Before his eyes, Luan Yan's memories slowly began to unfold. "During the 100 years that you were in seclusion, Master, many evil forces eyed our Xuanji sect with ill intent. Our sect repeatedly faced dangerous sieges. Fortunately, senior sister and I followed your teachings with utmost seriousness. We trained relentlessly, never daring to slack off, and thus managed to avert the crises without suffering harm. After eliminating all the rebel leaders from every side, senior sister renamed the Xuanji sect to Wuji sect, and only then did the sect escape danger." However, a few years later, Luan Yan suddenly packed her things and decided to leave. Luan Yanni hurried after her, trying to stop her. "Those who dared to disrespect and attack our sect are all dead now. Senior sister is in charge, and all we need to do is wait for Master's return. Why must you insist on leaving?" Luan Yan replied, "Because I miss Master too much. But there's still a long time before Yi Shen exits seclusion, and since the sect has now overcome its tribulations, I've decided to fulfill the promise I made to Master." But as the sect still needed someone to lead, Luan Yan didn't want to reveal this to Luan Yanni. She could only bite her lip and suppress her emotions, then turn back with a mocking smile. "Isn't it because senior sister is too controlling? No staying up late, no sweets, and you won't even let me flirt with boys. People say a senior sister is like a sister-in-law, but from what I see, you could practically be my real mother." As she said this, Luan Yan stuck out her tongue teasingly at Luan Yanni. Yanni was furious but couldn't argue back. Truthfully, she was just worried about her junior. Luan Yan suddenly took senior sister's hand and spoke gently. "Senior sister, don't see me off any further. The protection of the sect doesn't rest on your shoulders alone. I don't want to burden you with more worries." Hearing this, Yanni's heart was suddenly touched, and she felt comforted. Her junior had finally learned to care and share the burden with her. But just as she was feeling moved, the moment turned cold when Luan Yan added, "If you become a wrinkled old lady, when Master returns, the one he'll surely cherish more will be me. You won't stand a chance." Luan Yan's words were meant to dispel the slightly heavy atmosphere. She then bolted away. Yanni lifted her skirt and chased after her, shouting, "What did you just say? You're just a little worm that I have to feed. Stop right there." Luan Yan ran even faster, laughing joyfully, though she said such things. In her heart, Luan Yan silently thought, "Senior sister, I'm sorry, the heavenly calculator saw through the heavenly secrets long ago. From the moment the sects besieged us and Master was forced into seclusion. It was all orchestrated by someone behind the scenes. If you knew, you'd stop at nothing to eliminate the enemy. Wouldn't you? I don't want to see you like that again. Master, you surely understand your disciple, don't you? In these chaotic times, we are the only family we have left. Luan Yan eventually found the one behind it all. He was called the Demon Buddha, also known by another name, the Black Hand. A deadly battle broke out between the two. Although Luan Yan used all her strength, the opponent was far too powerful, and she was directly struck by one of his devastating attacks, destroying her physical body. After the battle, I used the Phoenix ancient treasure to protect my Yuanying and escaped. Later, I created a false body and established Xianxia City as a place to wait for your return. Master, along with Zhang Kong and his son. Senior sister probably still thinks I'm alive. Doesn't she? To be honest, in another 3 to 5 years, my Yuanying will no longer hold together. Fortunately, Master, you've arrived. Yi Shen stood still, a storm of indescribable emotions roiling within him. There was compassion, sorrow, anger, and guilt. He blamed himself for not being able to care for his disciple. Letting Luan Yan end up like this. Yi Shen spoke. Luan Yan, you've done well. Don't worry, Master will help you recover and restore your body. Use the Nidon of that Black Hand. Luan Yan replied joyfully. Master, you're too kind, but this task won't be easy. Don't underestimate me just because I'm down to my Yuanying. I'm still a cultivator at the first stage of the life and death realm. Yi Shen was astonished. Luan Yan has already reached the life and death realm. Her cultivation has surpassed mine. In the Yuan continent, cultivation realms are divided into 6 stages with 9 levels. The 6 main realms are Lianqi, Ningzhen, Zhuji, Yuanshen, Tushen, and finally the life and death realm. The life and death realm is further divided into 9 levels, each breakthrough being equivalent to progressing from Lianqi to the life and death realm. Last time, Yanni had reached the Tushen realm and had already become renowned across the land. Even though my body has been sanctified, in terms of cultivation realm, I'm only at the peak of the Tushen realm. Yet Luan Yan, at the first level of the life and death realm, was still defeated by her opponent. Just how powerful is that enemy? At that moment, countless questions filled Yi Shen's mind, along with a growing sense of unease and worry. Luan Yan, noticing her master's concerns, spoke up. When I fought the Demon Buddha last time, I suspect his realm had already reached the 3rd. No, the 4th level of the life and death realm. My Yuanying should have been able to rebuild my body, but no matter how many methods I tried, thousands of them, it was all in vain. Master, have you had any breakthroughs since exiting seclusion? Yi Shen asked in return. Are you afraid your master will lose? He thought to himself, although my realm hasn't broken through, I've achieved the holy body. Facing someone at the 4th level of the life and death realm isn't beyond my ability. Luan Yan smiled brightly. I know you want to face him head-on. However, if you only win by a slight margin, it's as good as losing. To truly win, you must crush your opponent overwhelmingly. Master, don't you think I'm right? Yi Shen smiled. You understand me. Luan Yan, only you do. Luan Yan then stuck out her tongue, spitting out a ball of green primal energy, its spiritual power immensely dense but formless. Yi Shen, sensing something familiar, asked, This is. Luan Yan explained, This is the reason I've remained here. This ancient celestial silkworm ice pill was refined using the spiritual herbs from the blessed land cave heaven. Over the decades, Master, once you consume it, you will break through your realm, increasing your chances of victory by 50%. As an experienced cultivator, Yi Shen immediately sensed something was amiss. His brow furrowed as he looked at Luan Yan with a sorrowful gaze. Luan Yan, you're lying to me again. If such a miraculous pill existed, why didn't you use it for yourself? Even with just your Yuanying, after replenishing your qi, your chances of reconstructing your body would greatly improve. Furthermore, the spiritual herbs in the blessed land cave heaven were ones we planted together 100 years ago. They don't have such powerful effects. This ancient celestial silkworm ice pill was refined using your own Yuanying, wasn't it? Luan Yan's eyes widened in surprise. She hadn't expected her master to see through her so quickly. Truly, it was impossible to deceive Yi Shen. She suddenly burst into laughter, the sound growing louder and louder as she clapped her hands, her eyes crinkling in delight. Her laughter echoed throughout the blessed land cave heaven. Though Luan Yan laughed so joyously, Yi Shen's gaze grew more sorrowful and filled with grief. Luan Yan wiped away her tears after her fit of laughter and said, "As expected, Master is still Master." Luan Yan concedes. Yi Shen turned away, his voice cold. "You needn't worry about me breaking through. Stay here and behave. I will return shortly." Suddenly, Luan Yan's hand pierced through Yi Shen's body. She laughed loudly. "I've caught Master off guard." It seemed as if she intended to strike him from behind. But instead, she poured all her remaining spiritual energy into Yi Shen's body. Waves of spiritual energy surged directly into his core. While Luan Yan's Yuanying began to fade away, Yi Shen immediately realized what was happening. He quickly turned and shouted, "Luan Yan, that's your Yuanying, stop it at once." Luan Yan's Yuanying was now rapidly dissolving. She embraced her master one last time and gently whispered, "Master, please give my regards to senior sister. Luan Yan loves you all the most." A flash of memories resurfaced, Yi Shen and his two disciples playing and gathering together in peace. But now, he had to say farewell to his most cherished disciple. Within seconds, Luan Yan's Yuanying exhausted its spiritual power and vanished entirely, marking the end of the life of a once glorious ancient sovereign. After Luan Yan sacrificed all her remaining spiritual power for her master, Yi Shen's strength surged more powerfully than ever. The surrounding cave began to gradually collapse. Yi Shen smiled faintly, a bitter smile. "Is this blessed land heaven cave supported by you alone? I said to borrow your blessings, not for you to risk your life to uphold it. Silly Luan Luan." Yi Shen tried to hold onto a wisp of Luan Luan's vital essence in his hand. He truly did not want the blessed land cave that Luan Luan had given her life to protect to collapse so easily. Yi Shen embraced Luan Luan's vital essence, then knelt down on one knee to commence his breakthrough. The spiritual power unleashed by Yi Shen spread throughout the cave, waves of spiritual energy billowing in all directions. Wherever the spiritual power reached, the cave and all its creatures were reinforced. Soon, the cave's collapse halted. After completing his breakthrough, he had reached the realm of life and death. Yi Shen stood up, whispered, "Luan Luan, forgive me, I must break my promise. As for inquiring about your health, go speak with your senior sister yourself." Yi Shen waved his hand, taking out the heavenly book, then infused Luan Luan's last wisp of vital essence into the heavenly book. Nurturing Luan Luan's soul within the book would prevent it from dissipating completely. This arrangement would do for now. He held the heavenly book in his hand and murmured, "Luan Luan, didn't you love exploring the mountains and rivers most? Then let's travel together with your master." Suddenly, Yi Shen exuded an intense murderous aura. His eyes flashed with a hint of death, dark energy shrouding his body. Just witnessing it instilled fear and dread. He spoke, voice filled with rage, "The one behind this. This scene seems not too bad, does it?" At this moment, the shockwave from Yi Shen's breakthrough also reached Kiao Kiao and General Taihe. The two were observing Yi Shen's avatar when a strong earthquake of 6.9 magnitude struck, causing the 4 watermelons to shake violently, on the verge of falling to the ground. At that time, Yi Shen's avatar was blown apart by the earthquake. General Taihe was stunned. An avatar? But the scent is unmistakably correct. When did this happen? Taihe suddenly perked up his ears, sensing the spiritual energy converging in one direction. Someone was breaking through a realm. Moreover, a realm not low at all. Suddenly, a cry from Kiao Kiao caught Taihe's attention. She turned around to see. Kiao Kiao had collapsed to the ground, limbs weak, void of strength, also panting heavily. Taihe asked worriedly, "Are you okay?" Kiao Kiao shook her head. "No problem." She thought to herself, "It can't be wrong. Only when a person with pure yang physique breaks through, does my inner core tremble like this. If I cultivate with that pure yang physique just breaking through, the longevity pill might achieve a significant quality jump. Now is the best time to harmonize." Taihe was persistent, eyes filled with concern. "You seem very uncomfortable. Is it because I haven't guided the star charm thoroughly?" Kiao Kiao was somewhat surprised, thinking, "Is she worried about me? Of course, she's one of the Empress's people. If I act alone to harmonize with that cultivator, she'll have to report, right?" But at this moment, the image of Master Shen Xuanzi lingered in Qiao's memories. Rescuing her master remained the utmost priority. She gritted her teeth, then recited, 10,000 creatures of the earthly realms. Nowhere to hide. Suddenly, numerous talismans appeared, encircling General Taihe and forming a barrier binding her. Taihe recognized it as the Qi Men Dun Jia formation. At this point, Qiao declared firmly, "Today I must harmonize with him." In the Empress's eyes, he possesses a rare pure yang physique unseen in a millennium. By uniting with him, I can refine the longevity pill to extend my master's life. Do not stare at things you shouldn't. General, please take the safe path and leave. Swish swish swish, several sword lights flashed by, instantly slicing through the talismans and breaking the Kimen Dunjia formation without passing through the safe passage. General Taihe, his gaze cold as ice, looked at Qiao. Did you really think you could defeat me? If you had behaved, waiting for the superior to handle trifling matters for you, His Majesty might have been lenient with your infatuation. But if you insist on acting alone, then that's a different story. Speaking of which, is this what your master taught you? Preaching righteousness while ultimately relying on others for success. Truly a bunch of snakes and rats. Birds of a feather. As he spoke, Taihe pressed his sword against Qiao's neck threateningly. Those insults directly infuriated Qiao. Insulting her was one thing, but touching upon her master was crossing the line. Angered, Qiao glared and retorted, "Take it back. Take those words back. What does it matter if I am a useless waste? It has nothing to do with my master." Qiao shouted fiercely, then continued to cast talismans, creating the Tianluodiwang formation. This time, she used even more talismans and on a larger scale. Dozens of talismans flew around, forming a trapping formation surrounding General Taihe. Taihe exerted all his strength to slash at the talismans. But surprisingly, this time he couldn't break them. Qiao declared, "It's useless. General, it might be wise to rest well within the Tianluodiwang formation." She then formed a seal and chanted again, a yellow spiritual light flickering from her fingertip. Suddenly, a mark appeared on General Taihe's chest. Taihe realized that it was the formation mark that Qiao had placed on him when she embraced him earlier. Turning away, Qiao coldly stated, "The Dilla formation is based on blood and death. Only the caster can lift it. Unless you break the formation with life and death power, there's no other way. General, your cultivation far surpasses mine. Of course, I cannot resist. The Dunjia formation is merely an illusion. I wager you won't appreciate my methods." Furious, Taihe bellowed, "You calculated this all along. You truly are a deceiver." Qiao, pausing her steps briefly, replied, "I'm not deceiving you. It is because I am useless that I can only use such ignoble tricks. This is self-learning with no relation to my master." She looked at Taihe with eyes full of sorrow and grief, then hurriedly dashed towards Yi Shen. As she ran, she thought to herself, "It's not that I don't wish to courageously fight for my master's safety. But I have no other choice. I can only use these ignoble means to gradually prolong my master's life. Master, rest assured, no matter how despicable the method, I will protect you." At this moment, a colossal shadow suddenly emerged. It was the evil Buddha, the enemy that Lak had once confronted. His face was terrifying and grotesque, causing anyone who laid eyes on him to be filled with fear. He spoke, his eerie voice resonating, "That's the right thinking." Qiao. Startled, Qiao was flooded with countless thoughts. Unable to believe her eyes, Darren, she was utterly shocked, never expecting the evil Buddha to appear so directly. With a sinister smile, his eyes as dark as abyssal voids pierced into Qiao. His chilling voice resonated, carrying a dreadful threat. "Over the years, the longevity pills you've offered have been inferior, made from worms and spiritual beasts. Now that you're willing to use yourself to refine pills, I am quite pleased. Coincidentally, I sense a nearby medicinal catalyst that has just broken through the life and death stage. Bring it to me." Qiao's gaze suddenly darkened. Until now, she had only refined pills from spiritual herbs and beasts, never causing harm to anyone. This time as well, she merely wished for dual cultivation with Yi Shen to refine a pill to save her master, with no intent to harm anyone. But the evil Buddha's demand truly posed a dilemma for her. She wanted to save her master, yet didn't want to go against morals and harm the innocent. Just as she was caught in inner turmoil, struggling with her thoughts, a familiar, powerful voice suddenly boomed from behind. No need to look hard. I'm right here. Come and get me. Xiao Qiao saw Yi Shen approaching with overwhelming aura, and he could directly see and speak to the evil Buddha. Qiao was astonished. Her expression drastically changed. She stammered, "What? How can you?" Yi Shen glared coldly, replying icily, "I'm not talking to you." Yi Shen carefully observed the evil Buddha behind, sensing his aura was identical to the one in La Lu's memories. It seemed he was the culprit. The image of the evil Buddha was overjoyed upon seeing Yi Shen, unexpectedly having the one he needed delivered right to him. He charged excitedly at Yi Shen, laughing loudly. "Not bad. A pathetic little worm with only the first stage of life and death realm cultivation can detect my presence. Very good. Truly a top-notch ingredient." As he spoke, he unleashed his demonic energy, enveloping Yi Shen, intending to capture him for refinement. But Yi Shen stood unresponsive, coldly smirking and said, "An ingredient?" With those words, Yi Shen concentrated his strength into his fist, directly landing a powerful punch into the face of the dark evil Buddha. After the punch, Yi Shen confidently declared, "I only see you're about to die." This punch from Yi Shen directly shattered his spirit fragment. However, the evil Buddha manifested again. He glanced at Yi Shen and said, "Strong temper, that's even better." Below, Qiao witnessed the massive explosion and the spirit fragment of the evil Buddha being crushed. She was utterly shocked, her eyes revealing astonishment. How can this be? He can injure the spirit fragment of that figure. As the evil Buddha reformed again, Yi Shen rushed in and punched him squarely in the mouth. Yi Shen glared, asking him, "Damn it, you evil Buddha, were you the one who harmed La Lu?" The evil Buddha was extremely furious, his eyes filled with murderous intent. He swiftly targeted Yi Shen, gathering demonic energy, and launched a palm strike directly at Yi Shen. However, Yi Shen swiftly dodged to the side, evading the powerful attack. The evil Buddha grew even angrier, shouting loudly, "How dare you! I am the sorrowful joy Buddha. I am of the highest order. Understand? When you meet me, you should kneel and worship." The sorrowful joy Buddha spread his arms at an unbelievable speed, aiming directly at Yi Shen as if to swat a fly. The strike created an explosion with a destructive diameter of about 100 zhang, causing spiritual energy to erupt and dust to fill the air. He clasped his hands tightly, trapping Yi Shen inside, laughing gleefully. "Even if you reach the first stage of life and death realm, you're still just a mortal body, but making me manifest twice is still considered your skill." However, at this moment, cracks suddenly appeared on the hands of the sorrowful joy Buddha, and these cracks gradually spread wider. The demon Buddha was astonished. He is unharmed. Moreover, my hand was destroyed by him from within. At this moment, Yi Shen concentrated his spiritual energy into his palm and casually delivered a gentle punch, breaking the hands of the demon Buddha. Yi Shen's body had long transcended to sainthood, nearly immortal and indestructible, so being struck by that palm just now was no different to him than a mosquito bite on stainless steel. Yi Shen smirked and said, "Reveal your true form. That clay Buddha statue. Do you not dare summon your true self? I do not care what kind of Buddha you are. As long as you dare to harm my disciple, I will send you to the Western Paradise this instant." As Yi Shen spoke, he gathered spiritual energy into his fist, then aimed directly at the demon Buddha's face and unleashed a palm strike. The demon Buddha did not bother to evade. Thus he was once again shattered by Yi Shen's punch. The force of Yi Shen's punch caused a massive explosion, shaking the heavens and the earth. At this moment, only one eye of the demon Buddha fell down. Yi Shen caught it, holding it in one hand. It looked pitch black, no different from a lump of coal. Despite having his mouth shattered, Bai Shi Yanfo could still utter sounds. "Disciple. Ah, I remember now. Decades ago, I seemed to have enlightened a small worm. Your aura is indeed reminiscent of it. Ha ha ha. It was also at the first level of the life and death stage. I broke its 6 paths. Even if it risked everything to escape using its yuanying, it couldn't recreate its physical body. Before it died, it was muttering something about its master. Hey hey hey, your fate will be the same as that small worm." Hearing this, Yi Shen, enraged, crushed the remaining piece of him like crushing a block of tofu. He looked at the demon Buddha with disdain in his eyes and replied, "Barking is easy. Running is quick. You really only have such petty tricks. However, there's no need to rush." At that moment, Yi Shen cast a glance towards Xiao Qiao Qiao, who was standing nearby. Xiao Qiao Qiao was both astonished and extremely frightened. General Iron River then tied Qiao Qiao up, intending to take her back for interrogation, but Yi Shen quickly intervened. General Iron River shouted furiously, "I've repeated myself over and over. The matter is so serious, yet you intend to let her go so easily. This girl is undoubtedly a spy for the enemy. She's been following you the entire way, surely with nefarious intent. In my opinion, you should take her back to the sect for thorough interrogation." Qiao Qiao sat still, without uttering a word in defense. Her eyes filled with sorrow, looking extremely desolate. Yi Shen stood still, observing for a long while, before finally speaking, "Little girl, what is your relationship with Shen Xuanzi? After I shattered the remnant spirit form of the demon Buddha, his aura on you also vanished. It was then that I realized the aura of a Suan was on you." Xiao's face changed dramatically, utterly astonished. She stammered, "How do you know my master's name?" General Tai he was also taken aback, bewilderedly asking, "Is the ghostly divine warden your master? Are you truly the sovereign's junior? Honorable Yi Shen is the sovereign's master." Upon hearing this, Xiao was even more stunned, her mouth agape in shock. In her mind, she thought, "He is my grandmaster, the legendary supreme demon lord. I imagined him to be a stinky, ugly old man with gray hair. But how could he be so handsome, well-built, and formidable?" Yi Shen glanced furtively at Xiao's chest, and continued, "A Tuan has passed his heart covenant's vital chi to you. Now, he is hardly different from a mortal. This too is due to the evil Buddha, isn't it?" Xiao lowered her eyes, her tears glistening. She whimpered as she recounted, "Yes, because of me, that vile creature had the chance to exploit the situation. If Master hadn't transferred his chi to me, with his ability, escaping would have been easy, wouldn't it? But at that time, Master's spiritual power was exhausted, and he was captured by the evil Buddha. That vile creature, knowing Master's title of ghostly divine, wanted Master to divine heaven and earth for him, to find a way to descend to the continent. Master refused, so he imprisoned Master's physical body and extracted his essence spirit for self-divination. After obtaining the results, he ordered me to gather the Millennium Longevity Pill's lifespan limit. If he swallows and refines them all, he would be able to roam the earth. The most pitiful is Master. He has been imprisoned by that creature for decades, neither able to live nor die. Every year, I must offer the longevity pill to him, but his greed is boundless. He tortures Master right before my eyes, using this to compel me. Now, he demands 500-year longevity pills. I can only seek a pure yang physique for dual cultivation to collect enough. I thought I was just one step away from completing this, but that evil Buddha lies beyond the 5 elements, appearing and vanishing unpredictably. His projection is shattered, and my connection with him is severed. If I can't find him, I can't find Master either." As Xiao spoke, she wept uncontrollably, her tears flowing freely. Her deep love and longing for her master made her willing to do anything to save him. Yi Shen, after hearing her story, coldly said, "Stop crying now. Can you? Look, your eyes are swollen. You're not as lovely as when you smile. Be good. I have a plan." General Tai he then used telepathic communication to report the entire situation to the Empress. Luan Yani. The Empress Luan Yani was currently buried in a pile of documents. Extremely fatigued, after listening to the story, she asked in a drowsy manner, "What? You all have to take a detour? Xiao Chun, I sent you to resolve this swiftly. Why must you travel south and take an additional 3 days to return to the city?" On the other end, General Tai he replied, "Your Majesty, this female cultivator truly acted to save her master. I can attest to it. However, the journey was long." Sensing the Empress's exhaustion, Tai he added, "Your Majesty is tired. Please rest well. I have expended most of my cultivation to rescue the female cultivator, and now fear establishing a spiritual link might damage your Majesty's vitality." Somewhat skeptical, the Empress queried internally, "Xiao Chun, did you encounter any problems?" Not only have you depleted your cultivation, but also had to take a detour. Furthermore, even if the south is far, using formation techniques and talismans should only take half a day. Speak the truth. While speaking, the Empress stepped down from the bed, and her two maidservants had already prepared a feathered cloak for her. He hesitated on the other end before responding. The Exalted One mentioned a rare flower in the south named Bayan. This flower, vividly red and extraordinarily beautiful, grows at the bottom of the dragon abyss. It is hard to obtain, but perfect for decorating Yanni's wedding, as perfectly as pure distilled essence. Hearing this, the Empress's heart trembled, pounding wildly. Though still sleepy, she was fully awake after hearing that sentence. He struggled to concoct a reason to present to the Empress. The Empress confirmed. Did the master truly say so? He's eyes slightly narrowed, revealing a glimpse of sadness. Although this was something the Empress greatly desired, she did not wish to see the Empress unite with another. However, for the Empress's happiness, she could only hum an agreement. After speaking with the Empress, he kicked some stones as she walked. Feeling profoundly guilty, she had sworn not to lie, yet ended up breaking her vow. Meanwhile, outside the Wuji sect city, the Blood River Patriarch was eyeing them, not allowing any other matters to cause distraction. The affair of the demon god prince. Leave it to the Exalted One to handle. Shen was currently harnessing spiritual power, tracking the location of the evil Buddha. Golden true essence swirled around him like luminous, radiant ribbons. After a moment, Shen opened his eyes and declared, I found it. During the recent battle, I infused my true energy into his avatar's primordial spirit. This time, he won't escape. He glanced at Kiao with concern and asked, but that thing exists outside the five elements. Right, Kiao responded. Indeed. Even if his location could be determined, venturing beyond the five elements. This so-called, beyond the five elements is a place of no heart. No self, no desire, no pursuit, no form, a chaotic region in the Xianxia continent. Even transcendental cultivators must at least abandon their bodies to enter. Previously, I entered the realm beyond the five elements because the evil Buddha enveloped my five elemental energy with his aura. I secretly deduced that such enveloping aura is an art form only comprehensible by the great beings with insight beyond the third realm of life and death. He worriedly looked at Shen, Exalted One. After your breakthrough, you are only at the first realm of life and death. Must you really? Suddenly, he reached into her groin, unclear on what her intention was. But Shen immediately said, no need for such trouble. As he finished speaking, the golden chi of he suddenly transformed into strands and escaped from his body. These crimson strands of chi simultaneously flew towards Shen's hands, converging into a bundle. He was utterly shocked. This is Jin Shan. Isn't it my own chi vessel? Shen manipulated Tai's primordial strands as if they were noodles, altering their flow. Afterwards, he did the same with Kiao. Powerful threads of chi surged from within her, and she closed her eyes to sense her body. My reverse chi channel of the heavenly cycle is also thrown into chaos. Master, why? After a while, the process concluded. The primordial strands, once affected by Shen, returned to the bodies of the two female cultivators. Both felt a wondrously strange and novel sensation within their bodies. Shen said, it's done. The chi vessels of a cultivator are linked to the five elements. I have altered the paths of your chi vessels to be in opposition to each other. The five elements when thrown into chaos can be termed void. He and Kiao were frightened. Intense emotions displayed on their faces. What? Altering the paths of chi vessels while still living? How is that any different from defying the heavens like an immortal? Kiao reminded herself that there was no time for amazement. She immediately spoke up. We cannot delay. We must depart quickly. A moment's delay, and Shifu will be in even greater danger. I volunteer to take the lead. Shen calmly replied. Do not rush. There is something more important for us to attend to. The scene shifts to the dwelling of Bai-Shi-Yama Buddha. It appears bright at a glance, with a dreamlike celestial feel. But upon closer inspection, everything consists of skulls and bones. The surface of the water carried drifting golden flowers. Bai-Shi-Yama Buddha sat on the largest lotus platform, his face still pained from being struck by Shen. Even as a mere spiritual form, He suffered partial indirect damage. He cradled his face, bowing his head, angrily struck the surface of the lake with a palm, causing the water to violently tremble. The sea roared, yet he continued nursing the wound on his face. On it remained a subtle amount of spiritual power that Yi Shen had secretly infused. He cursed internally. Damn, it truly hurts. That cunning little thief took advantage of the opportunity to implant a restriction in my projection. Does he think such actions can defeat me? How absurd. That young cauldron girl, to save her master, will surely seek a dual cultivation with that little thief. He. Even if it lasts only 3 breaths, it will be enough for me too. Suddenly, a cold voice echoed, continuing his words, enough for you to buy a coffin. Right. Bai Shi Yanfo was startled and turned to the left. Seeing Yi Shen had found his way here, his heart was thrown into chaos. Yi Shen appeared, his entire body enveloped in golden light, his cold gaze fixed on the opponent. While pinching his nose, Yi Shen remarked coldly, "No wonder you flee so swiftly. Turns out you enjoy the stench of this trash heap." Bai Shi Yanfo was bewildered, thinking to himself, acting so swiftly, isn't he only at the first stage of life and death realm? Bai Shi Yanfo then responded, his voice full of arrogance, "I wonder who this is. Isn't it my prized elixir? Have you finally come to your senses?" He approached Yi Shen, eyes filled with arrogance, and continued, "Becoming a part of my body is a greater honor than being a mediocre cultivator. You should feel proud of that." As he spoke, Bai Shi Yanfo looked at Yi Shen with eyes brimming with confidence and arrogance. As if everything was within his grasp. He believed, with his true form cultivation, he could easily suppress Yi Shen. Yi Shen smiled in response, his voice ripe with sarcasm, "Indeed, I have thought it through. The ancients said, enmity should be resolved, not formed. I am still short a guard dog. If you kowtow 800 times, it's not impossible to take you on as a gatekeeper. Just guard the gate." As he spoke, Yi Shen looked at Bai Shi Yanfo with provocative eyes. His left hand playfully flicked 2 fingers, as if to say, "If you're capable, come and try." Bai Shi Yanfo was extremely furious, his eyes flashing with 7 parts killing intent, 3 parts resentment. He immediately struck down with a powerful palm, aiming directly at Yi Shen's head. But Yi Shen simply needed a straightforward punch to directly shatter his hand. However, the battle was not so easily won. At this moment, strands of red demonic energy dispersed around, then flew behind Yi Shen and converged, forming a high-speed spinning drill, thrusting straight towards Yi Shen. Yi Shen, swift as lightning, grabbed the drill just before it could pierce his eye. The power of the drill was considerable, but still not enough to trouble Yi Shen. Bai Shi Yanfo, his voice dry, spoke up, "I've changed my mind. I will devour you." With that, he opened his mouth wide, the inside as black as a bottomless pit, teeth sharp and menacing, looking terrifying. He intended to directly chomp down on Yi Shen, swallowing him whole. Yet Yi Shen showed no fear. His gaze remained calm, staring straight into the maw of Bai Shi Yanfo. In this moment, Yi Shen even worried internally, "I wonder how those 2 little girls are doing. Are they still all right?" While Yi Shen and Bai Shi Yanfo were locked in intense combat, Xiao Kiao and General Tai He were wading through a dark river, trying to find where they were holding Xianxia to proceed with the rescue. Moments before Yi Shen found a way to enter the chaotic void, Luan Yanni was extremely anxious to rescue her master, but Yi Shen calmly said, "Do not rush, there is something more important." Luan Yanni, anxious and on edge, exclaimed, "Ancestor, stop being so secretive. What could be more important than rescuing our master?" Yi Shen maintained his calm demeanor and continued, "Precisely because it's important, we must not act hastily. The evil Buddha seeks the elixir of immortality and predicted that you'd entangle me. If you succeed, he will benefit from this conflict. On the contrary, he may use this time to recuperate and return stronger. But as long as Atuan is in his grasp, he will always have something to worry about." General Tai He spoke up, asking, "Venerable One, just speak plainly, what do you need us to do?" Yi Shen replied, "Create a diversion. Once we break out of the 5 elements, split into 2 groups immediately. You all rescue Atuan, while I face and stall the evil Buddha. However, your situation will be far more dangerous than mine. To break the 5 elements, I have disrupted your energy channels, which means you cannot use any spells. The timing of the rescue is the sole variable in this plan. Qiao mumbled hesitantly. Variable. The hope of surviving from death is also a variable. Then she spoke clearly and resolutely. Ancestor, I am willing to try. Life or death be damned. This determination and resolve from Qiao utterly astonished General Taihe. Who would have thought that a girl with a big chest but a small brain would have such strong willpower? At that moment, Yi Shen lifted 2 fingers and flicked lightly. Instantly, 2 streams of golden spiritual power condensed into 2 leaves and fell into the hands of Qiao and Taihe. All right, once you succeed, blow this leaf. I will immediately end the battle and join you. Yi Shen formed a seal with his hand near his mouth and said, Let's go to battle. Yi Shen's spiritual power immediately formed a barrier, transporting the 3 of them out of the 5 elements and into the chaotic void, the dwelling place of the evil Buddha. Upon arriving, Qiao and Taihe immediately followed Yi Shen's instructions, forming a group to search for the divine calculator and rescue him. Wading through the dark river, Qiao took out a lit talisman to illuminate the path, but the light seemed dim compared to usual. Qiao worriedly said, without the support of spells. Is this the extent to which talismans burn? Taihe questioned. Are you sure you are not on the wrong path? When we opened the formation into the 5 elements, I glimpsed the evil Buddha in a realm of pure white. Qiao replied, I have walked this path thousands of times. I am sure it is not wrong. That pure white realm is an illusion created by the demonic entities. In essence, it is the same as this muddy region. The 2 continued to wade through. Suddenly, Qiao noticed something. She signaled Taihe to stop, making no sound, and whispered, We have arrived. Before them stood a towering stone pillar, atop which rested a giant red eye upon a lotus pedestal. Despite its size, the eye's vision seemed limited, not detecting the 2 below. Taihe, astonished, asked, What is this creature? Qiao explained, This is called Tongtian Dao, a guardian placed here by the evil Buddha. If caught within 10 feet, not a bone will remain. Our master is being held behind there. Taihe thought to himself. Judging by the appearance of this thing, its vision must be exceptionally good. Even without magical aid, with my speed, taking it down in an instant shouldn't be difficult. However, this might alert the evil Buddha, hindering the venerable one's endeavor. Suddenly, Qiao began to count down. 3, 2, 1. Taihe was startled. What's that? Wait. The space seemed unusually quiet, and just as the countdown reached 1, that giant red eye suddenly closed. At this moment, Qiao hurriedly said, Let's run. She lifted her dress and dashed forward. Taihe, not understanding why the eye closed on its own, asked, What did you do? Qiao explained while running, I didn't do anything. The Tongtian Dao has excellent vision and an aggressive nature, but it has a fatal flaw. Every 30 breaths, it will close its eyes to rest briefly. That is our opportunity. Ahead is a small door. Remember to close your eyes when passing through it, or you'll be blinded by the mechanism. 15 meters beyond the door, there's a dim lamp. Take it or else the wandering spirits will harass you. Listening to this, Taihe was amazed. She wondered, does she always have to pass like this? Traversing trap after trap, remembering every mechanism, day after day, just to save her master. If it were me, could I endure and hide for so long as she did? Following Qiao's guidance, they smoothly passed through the Tongtian Dao, acquiring the dim lamp, avoiding traps and the harassment of wandering spirits. Finally, they reached the place where Shen Xuanzi was held captive. Qiao asked Taihe to break down the door to enter inside. Taihe, even without sorcery, had a powerful build and swordsmanship, slicing through the door with one strike. From inside, a chilling deathly aura surged forth. The scene gradually unfolded before their eyes. Seeing her master, Qiao was overwhelmed with joy, crying out, Master, your disciple has come. Shen Xuanzi was bound by hundreds of cold steel chains and red threads. A large stake was also pierced through his abdomen, pinning him to the wall. At a glance, his body seemed lifeless, unresponsive. After Qiao arrived, it seemed she was drained of vital force from the evil Buddha's tortures. She wept bitterly, saying, The evil Buddha arrogantly believes that no one could surpass the maze to rescue the master. Therefore, no guards are stationed here. General, remove the soul-bewildering spike from the master and cut the chains. We can save him. Tai He used her keener than canine sense of smell to investigate. She realized something was amiss, and said, "On the honorable ghost god, I can smell the scent of soul-severing silk. This object entwines the ethereal veins invisibly, but it links the spellcaster with the spellbound. If cut, not only will the spellbound die, but the spellcaster will immediately become aware." Hearing this, Xiao's joy instantly plummeted into deep despair. Memories of times spent living with her master abruptly flooded back, from the first time her master bought her candied hawthorn, to the times they teased boys and got chased away, even when she accidentally inflicted a severe wound on her master. All these memories left her utterly disappointed, causing her to collapse to the ground, her face pale. Tears welled up in her eyes, and she sobbed. "What, sir, I still can't save my master?" Tai He responded with a teasing tone. "Haven't brushed your teeth in ages for your mouth to stink like that." Tai He held a green jade in his hand and said, "The Honored One has told us to come here together, so don't worry." Tai He handed the jade to Xiao and explained, "This is the Emperor's transmission jade, also known as the revival talisman. When faced with certain death, it can be used to replace a life. Surely the Honored One realized I had this transmission jade because it carries the Emperor's aura. The soul-severing thread only acknowledges the caster, not the one being targeted. Just by using hair as a medium and binding the revival talisman to it, it can replace the ghostly lord." Xiao held the revival talisman in her hand, her heart afire with hope, her eyes regaining their shine. Looking at the jade, she felt like the light at the end of the tunnel had appeared. Returning to the battle between Yi Shen and Bai Shi Yanfo. Bai Shi Yanfo was starting to sense something amiss. He turned his gaze with suspicion. Soul-severing thread. Seems there's a change. Is it an illusion? Yi Shen briefly lost focus but quickly regained his composure. He raised his fist, shouting loudly, "Evil Buddha!" With those words, Yi Shen unleashed a powerful punch directly shattering the true form of the evil Buddha. After the punch, Yi Shen raised his unscathed fist, smiled provocatively. "Where are you looking? In a fight, you must focus. I'm teaching you, understand?" At that moment, only the head of the evil Buddha remained intact, with other parts being obliterated by Yi Shen. Yet, he wasn't completely annihilated. Furious, he spoke with a voice full of menace. "You little insect, have you yet to grasp the situation? The moment you stepped into this place, you fell into my hands." The evil Buddha instantly transformed into a surge of black mist, then rushed to entangle Yi Shen. He morphed into massive, grotesque maws, advancing with the intent to devour and consume Yi Shen. His voice echoed with smugness. "You have only one choice: to be crushed by me from head to tail." As the evil Buddha prepared to swallow Yi Shen, a resonant sound surged forth, reverberating endlessly. The noise irritated the evil Buddha immensely. "Too noisy. What sound is this? What have you done?" Yi Shen, with a cold voice, replied, "It's not about what has been done, but what is about to be done." No longer holding back, Yi Shen unleashed raging energy, breaking free from the evil Buddha's bind. He pushed back the evil Buddha along with his grotesque, ghostly maws. At this moment, Yi Shen's gaze shimmered with 7 threads of killing intent, 3 threads of cold determination. He pointed confidently at the evil Buddha's face, declaring, "I can finally fight you with everything I've got without any restraint." Yang energy wafted intensely from Yi Shen's body into the air. The evil Buddha was overjoyed at the sight. "Yang energy. Pure Yang energy. You still have this much. A holy body of pure Yang at the first level of the life and death realm. Able to see my true form and remain unaffected. Such talent is truly exceptional. I must devour you." His appearance at that moment was grotesque and terrifying. The true form of the sorrowful Joy Yama Buddha had 3 large eyes on his forehead. His entire body patched together as if made from various parts. His teeth and lips were disordered. Hands were abundant, but he had no legs, and his lower body consisted entirely of wriggling tentacles. He hastily grabbed Yi Shen, then shoved him directly into his mouth to chew. The evil Buddha confidently declared, "Once you've been struck by my devouring madness, even if you're at the 6th level of the life and death realm, you can only lie still while I feast on you. But at that moment, the sound of crack crack echoed. The evil Buddha was astonished. What is this? Why can't I bite through? He exerted all his strength to increase the force of his jaw. But he couldn't budge an inch, as though he were biting into a rock. Shen finally sneered and spoke. How long has it been since you last had a meal? Are you trying to scratch an itch for me? Even a mosquito bite hurts more than your chewing. With a casual flick of his hand, Shen punched the evil Buddha's mouth apart. Teeth and lips scattered in all directions. And with just one punch, Shen shattered the entire lower jaw of the evil Buddha. In response to the evil Buddha's question, Shen politely delivered a punch to his face. Filled with affection, just a light touch on his cheek caused the evil Buddha's face to be horribly disfigured. Shen chuckled and asked, "What's wrong? Are you feeling envious? I've got another gift for you." Shen channeled his true essence and spiritual energy into his hand, and delivered another punch straight to the middle of the evil Buddha's body. Shen's punch completely shattered the lower half of the evil Buddha's body. Furthermore, the pure yang energy of Shen prevented the evil Buddha from recovering. But in the next moment, the evil Buddha's body suddenly transformed into something resembling a more human form. It turned out that Shen had used his own spiritual energy to craft a body for him. The evil Buddha was shocked, feeling his newly formed body in disbelief. This is. Shen smiled. Haven't you always wanted a physical body like this? The evil Buddha was utterly terrified internally. Suddenly, the grotesque maw on his shoulder exploded. He quickly turned around and fled in panic. Who exactly is this brat? He can create a physical body for me with his bare hands. But outside the realm of the 5 elements, this body will quickly disintegrate. I must escape immediately. Suddenly, the evil Buddha's body froze and could no longer move. His entire body was bound tightly by chains of true essence. In fact, the evil Buddha had fallen into the formation that Shen had set up earlier. This formation was called the 9 Heavens Mysterious Gate Formation. Shen calmly said, "Why the rush, running into traps and getting tangled in snares? Moving slowly like us, there are no traps to stumble into, no snares to entangle." Smiling, Shen slowly approached, his entire body radiating a murderous aura that shook the heavens and the earth. The evil Buddha struggled desperately, but he couldn't move an inch. His heart filled with utter terror, and sweat poured from his body. What kind of technique is this that makes me completely immobile? Just as he was about to speak, with a swift slash, his right arm was severed. He glanced at it in horror and cried out in pain. Shen casually flicked a finger, and another part of the evil Buddha's body was sliced off. Shen coldly remarked, "Now this feels satisfying. You've gained a physical body. You should be happy. So why the sour expression?" Before the evil Buddha could respond, Shen immediately cut him off. "You don't need to speak. I already know the reason." At that moment, Shen used his spiritual energy to sew the evil Buddha's mouth shut. After sealing his mouth, Shen smiled and continued, "You care a lot about appearances. So, the reason is that this body is too ugly." Suddenly, a dog's head sprouted from the evil Buddha's shoulder, created by none other than Shen. The evil Buddha was filled with extreme rage, but with his mouth sealed, all he could do was cry out in muffled sobs, drenched in sweat, tears, and snot. Shen, not yet finished, flicked his hand again and said, "Don't worry, I'll fix it for you." A sharp slash rang out. Shen severed 2 of the evil Buddha's tentacles. With another swift slash, his hands were sent flying. As he struck, Shen casually remarked, "There's still plenty more to come. No need to rush. These legs of yours are no good. Always used to harm others. Not acceptable. This wretched head, which gives rise to all your evil thoughts, is no good either. These things, you don't need them." With each statement, Shen severed another part of the evil Buddha's body. The evil Buddha could do nothing but struggle helplessly. After transforming him into a coconut skull version of a cultivator, Shen finally felt satisfied, thinking, "Now that's more like it." Shen then removed the stitches from the evil Buddha's mouth. Seething with rage, the evil Buddha roared, "You dog, do you think this will kill me? I still have another body here." Spirit severing thread, activate. A red thread suddenly appeared from the evil Buddha's neck. This was the thread connecting him to the fortune teller. The evil Buddha bit down on the thread and pulled it with all his strength. A sudden explosion occurred in the sky, and the evil Buddha thought he was about to summon the physical body of the fortune teller. But to his shock, what came out at the other end of the thread was merely a gem, the substitution talisman used by General Iron River as a stand-in for the fortune teller. The substitution talisman fell onto the evil Buddha's head with a thunk. The evil Buddha, who had been boasting, suddenly turned into a foolish Buddha, his eyes wide open, utterly confused by the situation. Seeing the stunned expression on the evil Buddha's face, Shen clutched his stomach, laughing uncontrollably. Ha ha ha, this is hilarious. Is this the so-called physical body you were talking about? So tiny and delicate, but you're so big, can you even fit into it? The evil Buddha, now filled with uncontrollable fury, gritted his teeth and screamed in rage, "It's you, isn't it? I will kill you. I swear I will kill you." Suddenly, strands of blue spiritual energy appeared around the evil Buddha. Wherever the strands touched, the evil Buddha's body began to regenerate. The severed limbs that Shen had just cut off grew back as good as new. The evil Buddha cried out in horror, "My body, it was supposed to be disintegrating. Yet now it's recovering." And no one else but Shen was responsible. He had used the heavenly scroll to restore the evil Buddha's physical form. Shen smiled and said, "Your body disintegrating, I know you're in a hurry. But don't worry, I'm still here, aren't I? I told you I would fix you up. And I won't stop until I'm satisfied." At this moment, Shen gathered spiritual energy at his fingertips, preparing to continue trimming. The evil Buddha now looked at Shen with utter terror in his eyes. He began to realize that this encounter with Shen was far more harrowing than he had ever anticipated. Bound, shattered, and now being forcibly restored just to endure more torment. After a moment, a golden leaf formed by spiritual energy gently floated down from nowhere. Following that, Kiao Kiao, along with Tai He carrying Shen Suan, appeared one after the other. Kiao Kiao spoke, "Ancestor, the Dai Yi leaf has brought us here." But in the next moment, both Kiao Kiao and Tai He were left gaping in astonishment. Before their eyes was the scene of the evil Buddha being tied up with a tie by Shen and tortured brutally. At this moment, the evil Buddha was unconscious, no longer struggling to resist. On his chest was a red seal cast by Shen. The two of them were bewildered, standing still for several moments. Shen glanced back and coldly spoke, "So you've arrived." Seeing Tai He carrying Shen Suan, Shen stood up and asked, "How is Suan?" Kiao Kiao happily replied, "Thanks to the general's help, Master is no longer in mortal danger, just waiting to regain consciousness." Tai He questioned, "Venerable, is this beast dead?" Kiao Kiao suddenly became agitated, loudly cursing, "What, already dead? Wouldn't that be too easy for him? He made my master suffer a fate worse than death. How does he deserve a conclusion where his body and soul dissipate? Even if we were to chop him into 8 pieces and use him to refine elixirs, it wouldn't be enough." Shen chuckled softly, his eyes flashing with a cold gleam, saying, "Ha ha, yet it would still be too easy for him. I have used spells to imprison him here and placed upon him a flesh-rebinding prohibition. So he must endure the agony of disintegration and rebirth endlessly, until the end of time." Upon hearing this, Kiao Kiao was absolutely satisfied, her face brimming with joyous admiration, truly worthy of being ancestor. Meanwhile, Tai He was astounded, his mind continuously shaken. Revenge is just a part. But what's more crucial is that the evil Buddha no longer has a chance to step out of the 5 elements heaven and earth. If one thinks back a little, from the time before entering the Chaos Void until I used the Jade Transmission Order to save the ghostly prince, Venerable had already arranged every possibility. Surely, this outcome was also part of your calculations. So this is what it means to be a powerful expert. Shen looked at Tai He, smiled, and asked, "General, how is Suan?" Tai He was startled awake, hurriedly responding, "Venerable, do you have any instructions?" Shen gently said, "Please lay Suan down." Tai He gently placed Shen Suan down on the ground. At this time, Shen Suan was still unconscious, his entire body weak, without a trace of spiritual energy. Kiao Kiao anxiously asked, "Grandmaster, isn't the master's condition quite unfavorable?" Shen explained, "A Tuan's body can exist beyond the 5 elements due to the aura of the evil Buddha. Now that it's fading, I must rearrange Atuan's chi channels before the aura dissipates. You too, step back a bit. Kiao worriedly asked again. Is it also related to the aura that the master hasn't awakened for a long time? Yi Shen immediately replied, indeed. But the deeper reason is that Atuan has lost the heart-protecting vital chi. He's truly weakened, and Atuan's spiritual root is of yin nature, clashing with mine, so I cannot directly transmit chi, only temporarily sustain life. We must return to the external world to devise another solution. Suddenly, Kiao felt a twist in her heart, a deep inner suffering. Master, you've ended up like this because of me. The more she thought, the more she felt immense pity for her master. Kiao couldn't bear to see her master in such a state. So she clenched her fists, mustered all her courage and spoke up. Grandmaster, my spiritual root is of the same nature as the master's. Let me donate my spiritual root to the master. Taihe was stunned. Donate a spiritual root? But that would mean you will die. Kiao, her eyes filled with sorrow, calmly said, General, have you thought about the conclusion of your life? By heaven's grace, my inner elixir is supreme yin, regarded as obscure-minded. Initially, I thought the end of my life was merely as a tool for others' cultivation. Everyone despised me, abandoned me, or approached me for their benefit, just because I was born with a cursed mark. Honestly, I never thought that one day I would have the chance to save someone. And that person would be the most important to me. Such an outcome is perfect for me. Kiao clasped her hands, bowed to Yi Shen, and resolutely said, therefore, please fulfill my wish as a disciple. Yi Shen gently nodded and said, very well. Immediately after, Kiao's spiritual root, under Yi Shen's control, slowly transformed into spiritual energy, leaving Kiao's body. Kiao hastily said, one more thing. When the master awakens, please tell him that Kiao has traveled the world, becoming a righteous cultivator. With that, the disciple is content. Tears streamed down Kiao's face at the final moment of her life. Her eyes gradually closed, and the last image she saw was her master Shen Tuanzi. Kiao closed her eyes, ready to embrace death, but for a long time, she felt no change. Kiao furrowed her brows, feeling utterly perplexed, then suddenly leapt up, exclaiming in astonishment, I have given my spiritual root to master. My body should have disintegrated. How am I still intact? A gentle voice wafted over, silly girl, with a chaotic spiritual root. If others were to perform the transfer, you'd surely perish, but now I control the entire situation. Preserving your life is no difficulty. It's just that without the spiritual root, your inner elixir is crippled. I'm afraid you cannot cultivate anymore. Kiao rushed forth to embrace Yi Shen, crying joyfully, this is wonderful, absolutely wonderful. Master is saved, and I don't have to become an evil seed. Thank you, ancestor, thank you. Yi Shen turned red with embarrassment as Kiao pressed her face against him, hastily pushing her away. No need for this. A simple thank you will do. Kiao clung tightly, retorting, that's not enough. Seeing this scene, Taihe instantly revised her thoughts about Yi Shen. Now, she inwardly accepted him. The venerable has a heart soft as silk. Truly admirable. His Majesty's eyes indeed see true. Yi Shen raised 2 fingers and recited an incantation, then said, all right, everything is resolved, we must return. With those words, a golden portal of spiritual power opened. Taihe and Kiao immediately stepped forward, while Yi Shen strangely lingered behind, seemingly reluctant to leave. Kiao, noticing the ancestor's daze, reminded him, ancestor, hurry on. Yi Shen snapped back to reality, responding, yes, coming. In Yi Shen's hand now, without knowing where it came from, lay a revival talisman. He gazed at it, pondering, what is truly happening here? As soon as Yi Shen and his companions passed through the golden spiritual portal, they instantly returned before the Empress. The Empress sat on the throne, her face cold and severe, her sharp eyes radiating authority. She inquired, so, what is all of this about? None dared to meet the Empress's gaze directly, all turning aside. Even Yi Shen felt a bit awkward. He scratched his head, stammering, Yanni, let me explain first. The Empress, her eyes betraying skepticism, her lips slightly curled, Yes, I'm listening. I must hear precisely why you return from a single journey as a top-tier cultivator of the first level of the life and death realm. A tone is one thing, but bringing a female cultivator back to the sect as well. Your master, consider your words carefully. If you speak poorly, you'll face severe consequences. The divination master remained unconscious, and was then taken by the physician for treatment. Xiao watched her master, her eyes filled with worry. Understanding Xiao's feelings, Taihe patted her shoulder and offered words of comfort. Do not worry, His Majesty has summoned the top medical cultivator of the sect to diagnose Lord Ghostly God. I am confident he will awaken soon. Xiao took a deep breath, then smiled reassuringly and replied, Yes, His Majesty possesses countless extraordinary talents. I am sure I trust him. This journey has indeed caused much trouble for everyone. By the way, where have His Majesty and the sect's patriarch gone? I wish to pay my respects to express my gratitude. Taihe, upon hearing this, was startled, pondering for a moment on how to respond to Xiao, ultimately decided to change the topic. Let me take you to change clothes and have some food first. Those two are still busy with many matters. In the female emperor's boudoir at this moment, the female emperor was breathing heavily, clothed in a gown, her full hips raised towards the sky. The female emperor's face was flushed, her eyes languidly fixed on Yi Shen, as if she had just drunk 1,000 strong wine jars. Yi Shen, unexpectedly bound without knowing why, was bewildered as he asked hesitantly, Yanni, what is this? You want to find a secluded place to discuss matters with your master. I understand, but why bind your master like this? The female emperor placed her hand on Yi Shen's lips, then blindfolded him with another red silk ribbon and gently said, Master, you just have to wait. No need to speak much. After tying him up, the female emperor also began to undo her outer robe. Meanwhile, Yi Shen remained unaware, questioning internally, thinking, this eldest disciple of mine is truly angry. It seems she will not easily forgive me. For now, I should proceed carefully, calming things down a bit first. At this moment, the female emperor wore a wronged expression, as if enduring grievances, gazing at Yi Shen. Her right hand held the red silk, wrapping it around her fingers, and then infused it with spiritual energy. Yi Shen immediately felt it, his heart filled with panic. Wait, this feeling is... The female emperor's gaze was cold, and she spoke slowly. Everything Master said truly seemed too coincidental. Yanni is no longer a 3-year-old child, not so easily deceived, so let this truth thread verify the truthfulness of your words. Speaking of the truth thread, it is indeed a powerful tool of the Wuji sect, specifically used to interrogate suspects. When spiritual energy is transmitted through it, linking it among those interrogated, their sensations become connected. When one side speaks the truth, the other will feel boundless pain. Yi Shen was alarmed, quickly imploring, what if I unintentionally harm you? Yanni, be good, take it off first. Your master will tell you everything. Before he could finish speaking, the female emperor grabbed Yi Shen's arm, pressed it down onto the bed, then leaned close to his ear and whispered, Master, did you do something with that female cultivator to break through to the first level of the life and death realm? Faced with the female emperor's inquiry and being tightly bound by the truth thread, Yi Shen had essentially no choice. Hesitating for a moment, Yi Shen coldly responded, yes. The female emperor did not perceive any sensation from the truth thread. The truth thread did not react. So it's the truth. This is somewhat acceptable. Master truly cares for me, intentionally lying to spare me from harm. But, a lie is a lie. I would rather bear the pain than endure the discomfort of a falsehood. Yi Shen felt a pain surge within him as he thought. The cosmic threads are responding. Yanni is telling the truth. However, as a master, how can I let my disciple suffer harm? Yi Shen opened his mouth to speak, but the Empress quickly covered it, gently pressing against him, whispering softly, if junior sister Atone was truly the master of that female cultivator, then is the one coming to rescue more concerned about Atone or that female cultivator? Yi Shen thought to himself, again, be it the little girl or Atone, my actions to save them are not driven by any other motives. Only because they are members of the sect. As the sect leader, bearing heavy responsibilities, how could I get involved in such romantic feelings here? Yi Shen sat up and gently embraced the Empress. Fortunately, Both answers weren't true, so choosing either wouldn't cause Yanni pain. Yi Shen regarded the Empress like a daughter, tenderly patting her head. The Empress, however, was eagerly awaiting his answer. Yi Shen replied, a tone. The Empress did not feel any pain from it, and her gaze immediately turned blank. No pain? Is this a lie? Could it be that the master cares more for that female cultivator? Seeing no reaction, Yi Shen called out, Yanni. At this moment, the Empress tightly hugged Yi Shen, her legs wrapping around his lower body, her mind in turmoil and her eyes showing some worry. As she panted, she asked, did bringing that female cultivator back to the sect mean you developed feelings for her? Hearing this, Yi Shen was flustered, protesting, it's not like that, I don't have any feelings. Before he could finish his sentence, the Empress felt a painful sensation. Her body involuntarily trembled, and she began to let out soft moans. Yi Shen, realizing this, became extremely anxious, quickly interrupting himself, not daring to say more. Oh no. Accidentally telling the truth caused Yanni pain. I must first break the cosmic threads. At this moment, the Empress's breathing became even harsher, and her expression grew extremely satisfied. Pressing her hands against her lower abdomen, she softly uttered, Yanni is very happy. Yi Shen felt the pain returning. Astonished. Pain? Is this the truth? But why, Yanni? Could it be that due to my thoughtlessness towards the little girl? You feel joy? At that moment, the Empress began to slowly remove her attire, gradually moving downwards. A moment later, only a thin garment remained over her chest. The Empress pressed her body against Yi Shen's, as she drew her lips closer to his, slowly asking, Yanni wishes to ask you one final question. Master, do you wish to spend the bridal night with me? Hearing his first female disciple ask if he wanted to consummate the marriage, Yi Shen widened his eyes in bewilderment. At this moment, Yi Shen was extremely confused. His mind suddenly became foolish, not understanding what was happening. Did Yanni say it wrong? Move heaven, east or what? Hello, where am I? Who is here? Why is a carp a submarine? Seeing her master suddenly becoming foolish like that, the Empress pouted, frowning lovingly, fool. Then she spread her arms wide, gripping Yi Shen's lower body tightly while gently saying, feigning ignorance. Pretending to be foolish, is it really that hard to understand? Yi Shen's face turned red at this moment. His mind went blank, and his entire body felt inexplicably hot and irritated. He didn't know how to respond, merely mumbling a few meaningless words. The Empress's eyes drooped, whispering tenderly, Master, is Yanni not beautiful? Yi Shen suddenly shouted, how could that be? The Empress was surprised by her master's reaction, but because they were still bound by the truth silk, and Yi Shen accidentally spoke the truth silk transmitted a surge of pain straight into her head. She shivered, moaning loudly. Hearing this, Yi Shen was extremely worried. Yanni. At this moment, though the Empress was in pain, she was also delighted, panting. She whispered, of course I knew that. But if Master doesn't agree with me, I will forever disturb you. Speaking the truth and enduring eternal suffering. I really want to see if you can bear it. As she spoke, the Empress lightly bit Yi Shen's ear. Yi Shen hurriedly turned away, shouting loudly, stop joking. The Empress immediately used her hand to grab Yi Shen's mouth and pull him back. Then pressed her chest right in front of Yi Shen's face and said, not going to answer. Then even better. The Empress then took Yi Shen's hand and placed it on her smooth, white, and perfectly round thighs without a single mosquito bite. I'll take it as you've tacitly agreed then. In the next moment, the Empress boldly reached down, touching the Master's mighty eagle. The instant her hand touched the boy, Yi Shen jerked up in shock. And with a poof, Yi Shen exploded into a cloud of white smoke right in front of the Empress. As the smoke cleared, it revealed a mannequin substitute of Yi Shen there. While Yi Shen had disappeared long ago, the Empress felt somewhat disappointed. Hey, he ran away. In another location, Yi Shen was fleeing with utmost haste. But even now he still hadn't recovered from his shock. Damn it, I am the Master. How can I react to a disciple like that? The Empress here was also blushing with embarrassment. This was the first time she had actually touched the Master's mighty eagle with her own hands. Just moments ago, it nearly bit her hand off, so it's no surprise that he would flee with such strength. Surely he's just afraid of hurting Yanni. Silly master, you can run away, we still have plenty of time. Yi Shen had flown to a waterfall and was meditating beneath it to calm his mind. While meditating, Yi Shen silently recited a mantra. Women are ephemeral. Parental love is everything. Women are ephemeral. Parental love is everything. Yet, the more he recited, the more his mind was filled with recent intimate moments with Yanni. Just thinking about it made the mighty eagle within him spread its wings. Longing to soar, Yi Shen immediately punched himself in the face to regain clarity. The impact of the punch momentarily disrupted the waterfall's flow. The water churned violently, then turned into rain falling down. At this moment, Yi Shen felt disappointed in himself. Alas, 100 times of chanting and still ineffective. It seems my Dao practice is still shallow. Yanni, weren't you the sensible girl who once broke my heart? A sharp tongue, yet a soft heart. You never competed, never seized, always yielding to your junior sisters. Years ago, when the sect was in chaos, I charged forward to kill enemies, while you quietly maintained order in the rear. You once said that in times of turmoil, you only wished for the sect's peace because we are family. But if we are family, then why do you desire to be intimate with me? How should I face you in the future? As he was caught in this web of thoughts, a familiar voice unexpectedly rang out. Master, are you pretending to be ignorant or truly unaware? Just then, the Tian Shu suddenly flew out, and Lala also manifested from within it. Yi Shen was astonished. Lala, can you transform now? Lala mischievously nodded and replied, indeed. Thanks to Master placing my remnant soul into the Tian Shu, my spirit has been well nurtured. Yi Shen worriedly said, but Lala, you are currently at the stage of forming your body and true qi. Appearing unexpectedly is very dangerous. As he spoke, Yi Shen took out a shining jade transmission order. But Lala paid it no mind. Lala urged, Master hasn't answered my question yet. Do you not understand senior sister's feelings, or do you avoid because you have no affection for her? Lala smiled slyly and continued, if neither is the case, then what do you think of Lala? Confronted with Lala's 7 parts unexpected and 3 parts challenging question, seeing his main disciple ask if he wanted to share a room or not. Faced with this question that was 3 parts helpless and 7 parts challenging from her, Yi Shen was utterly dumbfounded. At this moment, Yi Shen's mind was completely blank, only managing to stammer a few words. What do you mean? How? Luin flashed a smile, then floated around Yi Shen, continuing, isn't it obvious? If Master doesn't want to share a room with the senior sister, then what about with me? Luin whispered close to Yi Shen's ear, although I'm currently just a spiritual form. What Luin knows is certainly no less than the senior sister. You know. As she spoke, Luin thrust her chest out, her eyes glazing over with a dreamy expression. How do you find me? Yi Shen's eyes held not a trace of desire. Without hesitation, he turned around, giving a resounding thwack to Luin's head. Luin, already short, now seemed even shorter, Yi Shen loudly rebuked, still being mischievous. Don't think that just because you're a spiritual form, your master can't handle you. 1 person, 2 people, all have fun taunting your master. Luin held her head, wincing, then softly smiled again, her gaze lowered slightly, tinged with sadness, her tone gentle, speaking slowly, the result is clear. Master, the way you look at me is truly like looking at a child. Doesn't a child's words touch an adult's heart? It can be troubling. Luin, with a confident expression, pointed directly at Yi Shen and concluded, alternatively, you've considered senior sister as a true woman. Yi Shen was both embarrassed and flustered. And guilty as well, trying to loudly deny, woman. Then he turned away, not daring to look at Luin. No. That's not the case. Yanni is your senior sister. Also my most valued main disciple. Luin slowly floated in front of Yi Shen again and continued, that doesn't contradict anything. What do romantic feelings between men and women have to do with status? Luin coyly covered her mouth as she laughed. Or perhaps the senior sister is not your type. Does Master prefer someone younger? Yi Shen immediately yelled out, nonsense. What size? There's basically no. Before he could finish his explanation, suddenly Luin dove into the celestial book and disappeared. Yi Shen was left wondering why she had done so, when at that moment, a familiar voice reached him. The Empress approached, having just picked up the celestial book. Suddenly, a voice spoke, "Master, who are you talking with? Choosing such a secluded place. It's really hard to find you." At this moment, Luan Yanni appeared very gentle and mature, unlike when she was in the palace. Yi Shen still felt quite embarrassed, not daring to look directly. He simply reached out to take back the celestial scripture and replied hesitantly, "Ta. Thank you. I suddenly remembered there was something I needed to do." Yi Shen sighed with relief in his heart. It seemed like Lala hadn't been discovered. At this moment, Luan Yanni suddenly grasped Yi Shen's wrist and said, "What is so urgent? Master, just now, I thought I heard something about size." Yi Shen broke into a cold sweat. After quickly thinking, Yi Shen explained, Yes. Oh, yes. According to my observations, size and the quantity of inner energy are directly proportional, affecting the speed of breaking through stages. This is my latest research direction on cultivation. In short, the larger the stage of cultivation, the higher it is. Not familiar with speaking nonsense. Yi Shen's words contradicted each other, becoming convoluted and incomprehensible. Even Yi Shen couldn't understand himself and mused inwardly, "It's over. What am I even saying? This seamless babbling surely seems fake. The current situation is already awkward, and this time Luan Yanni will surely doubt me." Contrary to Yi Shen's assumption, Luan Yanni suddenly covered her mouth, giggling, then burst into laughter, smiling brightly, joyfully saying, "Master, what funny thing did you just say? You're thinking of some random things again. By this theory, doesn't it mean that all the men's cultivation across the world can't catch up with the women?" Looking at Luan Yanni's beautiful, blossoming smile, Yi Shen was utterly mesmerized, only knowing to stare wide-eyed and open-mouthed, completely entranced. His face also blushed. The more he gazed, the more enchanted he became. Yi Shen's pupils grew wider and wider, not blinking in the slightest. It appeared that Yi Shen was completely captivated by the unparalleled beauty of his top disciple. Seeing her master stunned and not responding, Luan Yanni called out several times, "Master, Master, what are you thinking now?" Only then did Yi Shen snap back to reality, awkwardly turned his face away, and said, "Nothing, just that I suddenly thought that across the world, only Yanni would laugh at my fanciful thoughts." While Yi Shen was expressing his thoughts, Luan Yanni attentively observed her master. However, there was no longer the lustful look as before. Now Yanni appeared much more composed. As Yi Shen's voice gradually softened, "About that matter you mentioned." "I still do not." Not allowing Yi Shen to finish, Luan Yanni immediately stepped forward, placing a finger on his lips, then smiled and said, "Master, you've been wandering outside for so long. You must be tired. Why don't you go rest a while first?" Yi Shen nodded in satisfaction, thinking silently, "It's still Yanni who understands the human heart. Indeed, I was overthinking," just as he was feeling proud. In the next moment, Yi Shen immediately refuted his own thought, "There's no such thing." The reason was that Luan Yanni had led him together to bathe. Yi Shen was tense, not daring to move, sitting still, with only a thin cloth covering, nervously seated. Suddenly, Luan Yanni spoke, startling Yi Shen. It turned out, Luan Yanni had already immersed herself in the lake. At this moment, she urged, "Master, why haven't you joined yet?" Yi Shen inwardly lamented in despair, "Unbelievable. Saying it was a break. I thought it was to eat or sleep, but it turned out to be a bath." At this moment, Empress suddenly spoke in a deep voice, "Master, what's wrong with you? I clearly recall that Master is the person who loves cleanliness the most. Why won't you go down to the lake now? The water in this lake is called Yu Lu, the #1 life-nourishing divine spring on the continent. It not only relieves fatigue but also strengthens tendons and bones, improves cultivation, and moreover, it replenishes the kidneys, increases vitality, treats kidney deficiency, kidney weakness, frequent urination, and weak physiology. Master, traveling outside and breaking through in such a short time, I thought now would be the time to nourish your energy. Could it be that Yanni guessed wrong?" Upon hearing this, Yi Shen hurriedly shouted, "How could that be? This is exactly what I need. Yanni is so considerate, thinking about me like this. I couldn't be happier." Yi Shen smiled awkwardly, "It's just the difference between men and women. You just need to bring me here. Leave the rest to me." Hearing this, The Empress smiled mysteriously, then rushed forward to grab Yi Shen's hand. The water in the lake immediately stirred. Without hesitation, she held Yi Shen tightly. After a long while, the Empress looked up and continued, "Master, I'm your disciple. What's this talk about gender differences? Besides, before Yanni was injured, Master took care of the disciple even more meticulously. Now saying, if just soaking in Yulu Spring is not enough. To effectively nourish life, one must exchange internal energy. Supplementing the qi in the lake is the best." As she spoke, the Empress pressed her body against Yi Shen. The next moment, the Empress leaned closer to Yi Shen's ear and whispered, "Master, don't be stubborn anymore. This time, just go along with me, won't you?" Yi Shen hurriedly refused. "No. No need. I'm not that tired." At this moment, suddenly the heavenly book within Yi Shen's clothing moved and flew up. Following that, Lala suddenly appeared, then reached out, and gave a strong push, causing Yi Shen to tumble forward. Surprisingly, with such a skilled push, Yi Shen fell such that one hand landed right on the Empress's left chest. The Empress naturally lay back enjoying it, without resisting, her eyes dazed feeling, and Yi Shen at this moment also felt the smooth, rounded softness of the substantial steamed bun. However, now he didn't know how to explain it anymore. As for innocence, I've spoken of it until I'm tired. Yi Shen was stunned, didn't know what to say, just stood there, dumbfounded, accidentally pushed down by her master. The Empress's face turned pale as she softly murmured, "Master, you've hurt your disciple." In the hazy mist where figures blurred, Yi Shen hurriedly helped the Empress up. Yanni, I'm sorry, does my disciple not like pain? I understand now." Coincidentally, this easily misunderstood exchange between the Empress and Yi Shen was overheard by both Taihe and Qiao. Taihe, filled with extreme anger, charged forward in a fit of rage, shouting, "Impertinent!" But before she could finish, Qiao covered her mouth and yanked her back. Qiao held Taihe tightly under her arm, one hand covering her mouth while the other restrained her. She hastily whispered, "General, what are you trying to do? Haven't you heard the saying, better to break a temple than to break a pair of lovers?" Taihe jerked Qiao's hand away from her mouth and yelled, "Break what? They haven't even married yet, and already behaving this wantonly in broad daylight. What will become of Her Majesty's reputation?" Qiao smiled and continued, Oh, where did such a traditionalist come from? Their business isn't for outsiders to comment on. You heard just now, didn't you? The Grandmaster cherishes beauty, so there's no need for you to worry. Lower your voice. Taihe, still fuming, let out a cold snort and turned away in a huff. Qiao nudged her lightly with her elbow, grinning as she added, "But really, it's a good thing you invited me to offer thanks first and brought me here all clean and fresh. Otherwise, how could I witness such a beautiful and thrilling scene? Don't you agree, General?" The mist had gradually cleared, revealing the scene of Yi Shen holding the Empress from behind, their intimacy becoming more apparent. They looked no different from a couple deeply in love, engaging in some playful 77-88 technique. As she said this, Qiao suddenly remembered something, her voice lowering and growing more solemn. Taihe's face also began to fall, her expression turning into one of indescribable sadness. Qiao recalled, "That's right. Her Majesty the Empress. To her, he's someone very important. To witness something so personal must be hard for her." Qiao pondered for a moment, then smiled gently and added, "But the General wasn't wrong either. For others, perhaps it's fine, but this is Her Majesty the Empress. Her reputation echoes across the land, no one can find a weakness to exploit. We can't let them scrutinize her behind her back." Qiao began to slowly climb over the door, whispering, "General, come closer, let's find the right moment to break them apart with a surprise attack." Just as Qiao raised her head, she saw the Empress standing in a provocative stance, her chest forward, her hips pushed back toward Yi Shen, with a dazed and entranced expression. Qiao was stunned, her eyes wide with disbelief, and she suddenly grew agitated, preparing to shout to stop them. General Taihe quickly covered her mouth and pulled her back, whispering, "Shush, weren't you the one telling me to keep quiet? Now it's your turn to yell out loud." Qiao immediately responded, "Didn't I say earlier that he's supposed to cherish beauty? So why is he actually going through with it now? And in the bath, no less. What if the water isn't clean and it causes an infection? Taihe, thinking it was something serious, was left speechless and exclaimed, "That's your main concern?" Kiao Kiao angrily shouted, "Nothing is more important than this. General, you don't understand. I wasn't just a fortune teller before. I was also a well-known quack doctor. Over the years, I've seen plenty of cases where careless actions led to serious illness for women. Not to mention, Grandmaster has the Holy Sun body, which is all about unrivaled strength. If he's not careful, Her Majesty could get seriously hurt. And let's not even talk about certain special preferences he might have." Taihe, no longer able to stand hearing anymore, quickly interrupted, all right, stop there, no need to go into details." Kiao Kiao grabbed Taihe's hand and continued, "That's why, as fellow women, we understand the struggles of women. This isn't just about Her Majesty's reputation, but also her health. We need to prevent anything unexpected from happening." Hearing this reasoning, Taihe nodded in agreement, saying, "You've got a point." With that, the two of them focused on the scene inside the bath. At that moment, sounds could be heard between Yi Shen and the Empress. The Empress softly moaned, "Ah, Master, that spot," seeing that the two inside were oblivious to their surroundings. Kiao Kiao and Taihe exchanged glances and nodded. Then, both of them charged forward recklessly, shouting, "Grandmaster, stop, don't rush." They rushed in with their heads lowered, not daring to look up. When there was no response for a while, Kiao Kiao and Taihe finally looked up, only to find that the Empress and Yi Shen were nowhere to be seen. Bewildered, they looked around in confusion. It turned out that the Empress and Yi Shen had swiftly hidden nearby. The Empress pressed herself close to Yi Shen, her hand resting on his muscular chest, whispering, thinking this was a private bath. "I didn't set up a barrier. How unexpected." Thankfully, Master used his concealment technique in time. Now we can continue peacefully. "Right, Master." When the Empress didn't hear Yi Shen respond, she looked up, seeing Yi Shen's odd, blank expression. She realized this was merely a clone created by Yi Shen. The real Yi Shen had already hurriedly gathered his clothes and slipped away. As he ran, he fumbled to tie his belt. Looking utterly flustered, with his face flushed, Yi Shen muttered in exasperation, "Again. This is really too dangerous." Moments later, Yi Shen had already made his escape to the outskirts of Wuji sect. The streets here were bustling, crowded with people jostling past each other. Luan Yan, having not returned to the city for a long time, manifested herself and gazed at the scenery, seeing a boy in front of her holding a string of candied hawthorns. Luan Yan was delighted. "Ooh, candied hawthorns. I wonder if there's a kind master who would buy some for me." Yi Shen sighed. "You're a spirit body. Not to mention you don't even have teeth to eat candied hawthorns." Luan Yan playfully responded, Doesn't this girl have the most doting master? Even when tired, you don't forget to hide the Tian Shu so no one can see me." Luan Yan had just slipped out of the Tian Shu to wander around. Yi Shen turned to her, scolding lightly, "I do love you. But do you understand your master even a little? Just now in the bath. If you hadn't pushed me." Luan Yan interrupted nonchalantly, "If I hadn't given you a push, when would you have met senior sister?" Yi Shen let out another long sigh. "Enough. Adult matters are not for children to interfere with." Luan Yan, slightly annoyed, pouted and replied, "Fine. But you've been in seclusion for over 100 years. Neither senior sister nor I are children anymore. You and senior sister clearly have feelings for each other. So what if people see? You even intentionally hid at the sect's entrance. I really don't understand. Senior sister isn't going to eat you. Is love really that hard to express?" As she complained while walking, Luan Yan didn't notice that Yi Shen had suddenly stopped, and she bumped right into him. Annoyed, Luan Yan asked, Master, did you even hear what I was saying?" Luan Yan looked ahead and was startled, for in front of them were two female cultivators who appeared to be injured. One, with pink hair, was carrying the other, who had green hair, limping along. These two were the female cultivators from the Daihua sect whom Yi Shen had encountered earlier. Bai Qingni's eyes welled up with tears as she saw Yi Shen. Her voice trembling, "Senior." Then she suddenly cried out desperately, "Senior, I beg you to save my senior sister." Yi Shen stood there, momentarily confused, but then he remembered their first encounter after coming out of seclusion. "You two are Seeing the sisters weeping, their eyes filled with grief, he couldn't help but wonder what misfortune had brought him to this pitiful state. The two female cultivators were later brought back to Xuanji sect by Yi Shen for treatment. After receiving Yi Shen's intervention, Bai Xiaohe's complexion gradually improved, and her skin regained its rosy hue. After the treatment, Yi Shen softly said, "All right, your senior sister's condition was caused by the depletion of her inner core. Leaving her physically exhausted, I've used a technique to nourish her. There's no need to worry anymore." Bai Qingni, moved to tears, sobbed, "Thank you, senior, for your assistance. Without you, my senior sister would have." Before she could finish her sentence, a ripping sound suddenly echoed. The fabric of Bai Qingni's robe tore open at her abdomen, revealing strange birthmarks on her belly. Startled, Bai Qingni screamed. Yi Shen coldly asked, "Earlier on the street, I sensed an unusual aura of a mark technique on both of you. What exactly is going on?" Bai Qingni turned away, hesitating for a long moment before shyly replying, "As expected of senior, I suppose I have no choice but to tell the truth. Senior, please take a look." As she spoke, Bai Qingni turned to face Yi Shen directly, pulling open her robe for him to see. As soon as Yi Shen saw it, he immediately recognized, "This mark, isn't that the holy mark of the Blood River sect, which I personally destroyed 100 years ago?" Yi Shen suspiciously asked, "Did you voluntarily accept the Blood River's mark?" Bai Qingni, horrified, quickly explained, "How could that be? My sister and I are from the 100 Flowers sect, and we swore before our ancestor never to betray our sect." Yi Shen then asked, "Could it be that they bear a grudge against you too?" Bai Qingni shook her head, even more confused. "Impossible, this is the first time my sister and I have ever left the mountain." Lala appeared at this moment, her voice full of suspicion. "Oh, how strange, the first time out, and you run into such trouble, wandering into the territory of the Wuji sect no less. Master, could these two sisters be spies?" Yi Shen's expression grew contemplative as he thought to himself, "These two have appeared before the 100 Flowers sect's team. If they truly were spies, why would they return to the Wuji sect?" After a moment of thought, Yi Shen added, "Disciples of the 100 Flowers sect must receive approval from their sect master before traveling outside. Could it be that their return journey involved the Blood River sect?" Bai Qingni was utterly bewildered. How could it be, sect ancestor? As she spoke, it seemed as though something suddenly dawned on her, and she quickly stood up to recount. "We were ordered by our sect ancestor to travel to the central continent to search for herbs. On the way, we passed through the territory of the Wuji sect and were fortunate to be saved by senior, narrowly escaping death. After that, my sister and I continued eastward, but in a village, we encountered members of the Blood River sect spreading their teachings. No, rather than spreading teachings, it was more like committing acts of violence. They used brutal punishments to force the villages into joining their sect, coercing them to be marked with the Blood River seal, not even sparing children as young as 7. My sister and I planned to escape first and wait for an opportunity to rescue the villages. But we were spotted by them. In a moment of crisis, my sister used a life-saving technique to shield me. After a fierce battle, we managed to escape, but only when we reached a secluded place did we realize, somehow, the Blood River mark had already been carved onto my sister. That night, during the full moon, my sister suddenly suffered unbearable pain and nearly committed suicide. The sect was far away, and my cultivation level was too low. I feared the Blood River sect would track us, so I brought my sister back to the Wuji sect territory, hoping that the prestige of the Empress would deter any enemies. If we were fortunate enough to meet you again, perhaps you could save us once more. But, Bai Qingni trailed off, her voice gradually softening. Yi Shen then said, "There's no need to feel embarrassed. When wandering the world, there will inevitably be times when one must seek help. But as you've mentioned, only your sister was marked with the Blood River seal. So why is it that on your body?" Bai Qingni sorrowfully replied, "The mark on my body suddenly appeared last night. It seems they never intended to spare either of us from the beginning." Yi Shen pondered for a moment, feeling that this was truly troublesome. The so-called Blood River seal is a restriction placed by the sect leader of the Blood River sect on their followers. Those marked with this seal will have their spiritual energy drained, which is then transferred into the sect leader's body. The fate of these followers is either to be drained dry or to become prey. and the only way to break the seal is to kill the one who cast the technique. Bai Qingni gathered all her courage and continued. Senior, with the next full moon, both my sister and I will likely fall victim to the Blood River seal. Last time, it was the depletion of our spiritual energy. Next time, it could be the destruction of our bodies. If it truly comes to that, please, Senior, take our remains back to the 100 Flowers sect, so that we may return to our roots. I swear, in my next life, I will repay your kindness. As she spoke, she stepped forward and clasped Yi Shen's hand, pleading earnestly. Yi Shen, being a righteous man, was known for helping those in distress. Having encountered such a situation, especially with his past encounters with the Blood River sect and seeing these two female cultivators in such dire circumstances, he couldn't stand by and do nothing. Lala, observing from the side, sighed softly. TSK, haven't I seen this plot play out countless times already? And, as expected, it unfolds exactly the same. A minute later, Yi Shen immediately set out to settle the score with the Blood River sect just as dawn broke. Lala then asked, Master, are you really going to leave the city and deal with the man in red directly? Yi Shen coldly replied, Of course, the Blood River sect was already a demonic sect 100 years ago. I remember the title of their leader. Lala chimed in, it was the Blood River Patriarch. That's right, but during the battle between the sects, I distinctly remember cutting him down. Lala smiled at that and said, What's so strange about that? My 6 paths were broken, yet I still live on in the heavenly scroll. What cultivator doesn't have a life-saving treasure? Lala then spoke more seriously. But Master, are you sure it's wise to go out like this? Yi Shen firmly responded, being a cultivator doesn't mean you can act recklessly. You heard just now, the Blood River sect has already attacked common people. How could I possibly stand by and do nothing? Lala shook her head. Not this matter. Yi Shen asked in confusion. Oh, then what is it? Lala gritted her teeth and emphasized each word. The first senior sister. Unable to tolerate her master's naivety and his intelligence barely above 3 digits. Lala turned and knocked on Yi Shen's head, saying, Master, this is the territory of the Wuji sect. If what this little girl said is true, how could the first senior sister not know about this? Yi Shen thought about it and realized it made sense. A girl from another place could detect traces of the Blood River sect. Let alone Yanni, who had already become the Empress. Yi Shen muttered softly, Yanni has always despised evil. She wouldn't just ignore it. Unless, Lala continued, I already told you, we're not children anymore. If the first senior sister is acting this way, she must have her reasons. You don't need to charge forward as you did in the past. What's more important is to discuss it thoroughly with the first senior sister. She's surely waiting for you to return. Hearing this, Yi Shen felt a bit awkward thinking about Yanni, unsure of how to face his first disciple. But sooner or later, it had to be dealt with. He couldn't keep avoiding it like this. Gazing into the distance, Yi Shen said, you're right, I should return, but what right do I have to face Yanni? Yi Shen then headed back to the Wuji sect. He stood in front of the door for a long time, not daring to open it and enter. After sighing for a while and gathering his courage, Yi Shen was about to knock on the door. Before he could finish calling Yanni's name, the door suddenly flew open, and thick kitchen smoke billowed out from inside. Seeing Yanni step out in a disheveled state, Yi Shen was utterly shocked. Yanni. The Empress was wearing an apron at this moment, seemingly having cooked for Yi Shen herself. But her cooking skills were so extraordinary that her hair was a mess. And the room was filled with smoke. Seeing Yi Shen outside, the Empress stammered a bit. Master, you've returned, just after your bath. I thought you might be hungry, so I prepared a little snack in the room. It's your favorite snake eggs. Yi Shen was deeply touched. After all that commotion, he had been too worried to face Yanni, but she was only concerned about whether he might be hungry. Thinking back, when they encountered Xing Mei, Yanni had only swapped spiritual consciousness with Little General Dog and hadn't gone out of the city to find him. Perhaps at that time, Yanni had already discovered the movements of the Blood River sect. After thinking it over, Yi Shen said, Yanni, there's something I need to tell you. Before he could finish his sentence, the Empress gently placed her hand over Yi Shen's mouth and softly replied. What you want to say? I already know, Master. After Yi Shen left to enter closed-door cultivation, Empress Luan Yanni felt deeply sorrowful and forlorn. She often sat on the rock at the foot of the mountain, crying alone. Master, you just leave without a word. Why is that? Now that the remnants have been annihilated, only good days remain. Why not take your disciple along, leaving Yanni all alone? Why, out there? Why? That year, when Master secluded himself, every day I went to the cliff where you were cultivating to clean, hoping you would suddenly change your mind and come out to reunite with the sect. Yet just over a month into your seclusion, Blood River Patriarch, the one who should have been struck down by Master, appeared before me. Not only had he not died, but he also cast a spell to bind me, intending to engrave the Blood River mark upon me, turning me into a taboo object of the faction. At that time, I was already a cultivator at the divine creation stage. Theoretically should not have been at a disadvantage, but he suppressed me to the point I couldn't move. It was then that I noticed he had a red skull different from the Blood River mark in his hand. This skull not only had a terrifying appearance but also exuded ominous energy. I guessed that the skull was extraordinary, so I sought an opportunity to cast a spell to destroy it. But unexpectedly the vile Blood River used a spiritual fetus to resist, determined to protect the skull and escape. After that, he vanished without a trace, and no one knew his whereabouts. Upon hearing about the red skull, Shen rummaged through his memory to see if he had ever encountered such an item. According to Yanni, this skull was the bloodline inheritance of the Blood River Patriarch. Could it be a sacred artifact of the faction? Shen thought quietly. No, such crucial information I could not possibly have missed back then. The Empress continued. I found the matter suspicious. But at the time, the vile Blood River was too well hidden, and restoring the sect was urgent. So I set aside his issue, merely dispatching spies across the continent. But who would have thought? Shen interjected. Chaos had already erupted within the territory of the Wuji sect. The Empress, astonished. Master, you knew about this? Shen stood up, his voice deep. It's not hard to deduce. In the eyes of that wretch, you are the disciple he must kill for revenge. Ideally, he should have eliminated you immediately, but he didn't. Instead, he wanted to engrave the Blood River mark on your body. This mark is for the cult leader to gather energy for self-cultivation. So at that time, he wanted to develop in the shadows. If developing in secret, then the more chaotic the situation, the better it is for him. With his insidious nature, he would surely release followers in the Wuji sect's territory to recruit new believers, leaving you unprepared. But merely doing that is still. The Empress continued, still not enough. Over the past decade, the wretch showed no sign of activity until suddenly, rumors surfaced about him recruiting soldiers in the north. Moreover, he killed several of my spirit condensation realm generals. Clearly, he has grown much stronger and is about to break through to the life and death realm. Along with these rumors came news of the deaths of innocent civilians living within the Wuji sect's territory. I personally verified that the mark was indeed in the shape of the red skull, none other than the Blood River mark. Saying this, the Empress felt immense anger, clenched her fists and continued, after discovering his intentions. I knew that the cult followers of the wretch had no high cultivation. So I dispatched people to distribute spiritual medicine to the populace. Upon consumption, they couldn't be marked, though in the early stages, the medicine's effects mimicked being marked to deceive them. But their cultivation speed far exceeded my expectations. After discovering my delaying tactic, they began tormenting the populace to assert dominance. In my heart, truly, the more she spoke, the more choked the Empress became, her eyes on her clenched fist filled with helplessness. Shen took the Empress's hand, continuing, hatred. The Empress suddenly felt as if her master deeply understood her, the conversation flowing exceedingly smoothly, as if they were spiritually connected, understanding each other's thoughts. Seeing her master so empathetic, the Empress was deeply moved. Shen wiped away the Empress's tears and slowly said, I understand the suffering of Yanni. That wretch Blood River is insidious, delights in torture and killing, never daring to confront directly. If he wishes to hide, then no one in this world can find him. If we strike now, ordering the massacre of scattered cult followers within the sect, it will surely cause panic among the populace. The more chaotic it becomes, the harder it will be to capture those villains. He releases information to draw your attention, while simultaneously sowing discord among the sect's people, aiming to render you unable to respond in time. When you are in disarray, he will take advantage and attack. if you focus on the main battlefield. He can also gather more followers. Either way, he doesn't lose. This strategy is truly sinister to the utmost degree. Minor impatiences can disrupt major plans. Yanni's approach is already the best choice. Rest assured, I will personally behead that wretch, using his blood to toast. At this moment, without any prior agreement, both the Empress and Yi Shen said in unison, "Let's capture them all in one fell swoop." The Empress, now more joyous, laughed and said, "Disciple didn't inform the master beforehand because I feared that, in a fit of anger, you would crush those proselytizers. They are like locusts, always hiding behind the populace to cause trouble. Kill one batch, and another springs up." The Empress leaned into Yi Shen's embrace and continued, "Now I've come to understand. Master and disciple are truly of one mind, which brings me peace." Yi Shen smiled and replied, "Do you really think so low of your master? You truly make fun of me, Yanni. If it weren't for encountering the Manhua sisters this time by chance, who knows when you would have admitted it." Hearing Yi Shen mention the Manhua sisters, the Empress suddenly exuded a murderous aura. Her face darkened, and she gritted out, "The Manhua sisters." In the next moment, the Empress's gaze, as if that of the Grim Reaper, fixed on Yi Shen. "Master, wasn't it you who discovered the blood river mark on the people? Manhua sect. Ah, it was the woman in white who used to help our sect back then. Right." The Empress gritted her teeth, her sharp eyes seeming to pierce through Yi Shen. Seeing the Empress like this, Yi Shen broke into a cold sweat and quickly clarified, "No, it's not Ruoxi, she's merely a disciple under her, roaming outside." Thinking this explanation would ease the tension, it didn't. The Empress's expression grew even darker. She shouted, gritting her teeth, "Ruoxi, you say, even the surname isn't used? How close and intimate the two of you must be." Yi Shen panicked, flailing his arms, "No, we only fought together once. After I left seclusion, I haven't met her again. I swear." The Empress's anger temporarily subsided, though she still retained a trace of irritation. She crossed her arms, pouting, huffed, and looked at Yi Shen with suspicion, asking once more, "Truly?" Yi Shen instantly put on his most serious face, raised 3 fingers, and swore, "If I'm lying, may my knees be even." The Empress pressed her hand against Yi Shen's cheek and sweetly said, "All right. All right, Yanni believes you this time. Let's call it even. From now on, disciple won't hide things from you, and master mustn't hide from me." Yi Shen hurriedly replied, Okay, I'll listen to Yanni." In his heart, Yi Shen thought, just when he intended to praise Yanni for growing up and understanding strategy. Unexpectedly, she still retains a child's mindset. Nevertheless, this also brought Yi Shen comfort. After all misunderstandings were temporarily resolved, the two sat back at the table. Yi Shen asked, "So, with the current situation, what does Yanni plan to do? Can you share with your master now?" The Empress smiled mysteriously, then slowly leaned into Yi Shen's ear and whispered, "Don't they want to create chaos? Let them achieve just that. As the ancients said, the bigger the waves, the higher the fish leap. Our plan is." While the Empress was speaking, the scene shifted to a dark cave hidden deep within the mountains. Inside, a figure cloaked in black sat on a boulder, a long sword placed before him. Another figure, also in black, entered from outside and respectfully uttered, "Old ancestor, you truly predict matters with divine precision. That woman from Wuji sect indeed didn't dare to unleash slaughter. She couldn't have imagined that we no longer reside in the north, but right within her sect's territory." Before the one speaking could finish, his head was suddenly severed, blood spraying everywhere. The one who acted was a mysterious figure, also in a black cloak, sitting on another boulder. His face was wrapped in bandages, revealing only cold, emotionless eyes. The remaining cloaked figure merely turned slightly, sighed, and in a hoarse voice said, "You led me into Wuji sect territory, and I considered you an ally. If we're of the same household, why must there be such violence?" The one who beheaded the other sat on a boulder, cradling a long sword. His face, wrapped in bandages, seemed like an assassin's. He didn't even glance at the remaining cloaked figure, merely responding coldly, "Unnecessary noise." 5 years ago, the Blood River Patriarch secluded himself in the northern region, secretly expanding his influence throughout the continent. However, He feared a faction in the central region led by the Empress of the Wuji sect. Although the Blood River sect had gained some power, the Blood River Patriarch still dared not openly confront the Empress. In the martial world, both sides maintained a perfect balance until one rainy night. The Blood River sect unexpectedly faced a storm of blood rain. On a night of heavy downpour with a bright moon, a mysterious guest not only discovered the well-hidden lair of the Blood River Patriarch, but also slaughtered the elite soldiers by his side. The strength of this person was formidable, difficult to fathom. The Blood River Patriarch could not resist, and could only flee, but barely 3 steps into his escape, the person caught up, slashing a sword energy that blocked the Blood River Patriarch. It seemed the mysterious person would finish him off, but surprisingly, he sheathed his sword and coldly said, "It's just business." Returning to the present, after witnessing the mysterious person take the head of one of his subordinates, the Blood River Patriarch, though furious, could do nothing but sigh. "Heavens, you're doing this again. If you find it noisy, just say a word and I'll drive others away. No need to slaughter everyone like last time. But then, a bit of quiet isn't so bad." As he spoke, he turned and removed his hat, revealing a grotesquely disfigured face. His face was heavily scarred, with patchwork stitches. His mouth lay bare, revealing teeth. His head bald, ears without rims, resembling a demon. Seeing the mysterious person silent, the Blood River Patriarch continued, "I have news from my spy within the Wuji sect's inner realm. The Empress plans to hold a heavenly earth sacrifice tonight. Such a sacrifice uses the power of spirits and heroes to elevate herself. Any slight mistake could result in a backlash, not only failing to break through but risking death and soul destruction. She wishes to resolve all matters conclusively, settling grievances forever. She truly is the most splendid woman of the continent. But in the end, she's too hasty." He rubbed the skull in his hand and continued, "The grand scheme is set. Only the east wind is missing. I hope my ally will help break the prohibition in Wuji City so that my followers may join the festivities for the Empress." The mysterious person coldly replied, "Your haste is your own." Hearing this, the Blood River Patriarch reconsidered, then cautiously said, "The Empress is unaware of our forces stationed in the Wuji sect. Once the army floods into the altar, she will undoubtedly panic. Now is the best opportunity. It's not haste." The mysterious person, unwilling to speak much, pointed to his head and uttered 2 words, "Open strategy." The Blood River Patriarch was startled. He thought again, how could things appear so favorable? Could it be the Empress anticipated my army would attack the altar? This information was deliberately revealed to my spy. The mysterious person coldly said, "Not entirely foolish." At this moment, the Blood River Patriarch realized, so that's the way it is. She knew my sect had spies causing trouble within her inner realm. How could she easily allow me to receive news about the heavenly earth sacrifice? If the army doesn't invade the altar, she will safely break through. But if I lead an incursion on the path we must take, she has laid an ambush, inviting the army into her trap. Very well, let the followers remain for the grand celebration when the host breaks through. I shall personally enter and offer my congratulations. Await the moment she breaks through. The spiritual fetus and the body cannot unify immediately. I shall mark the Blood River seal upon her, turning the Empress into a forbidden entity of our sect. At that point, I will control the entire Wuzhong. It truly is as easy as turning the palm of my hand. And you shall reclaim the lost artifact from the Empress. Thus, the transaction is complete. My friend, rest assured, I am not one to repay kindness with treachery. Once the deed is done, aside from the artifact, I shall also grant you." Before Blood River Ancestor could finish his sentence, he suddenly stopped, hearing the sharp unsheathing of a sword. His mouth seemed to freeze. He clutched his head, crying out in fear. At this moment, the other person sheathed the sword back, looked at Blood River Ancestor with disdain and said coldly, "Filthy." Blood River Ancestor lowered his voice, "It was presumptuous of me." Though outwardly appearing frightened, he was truly scared. However, he was also extremely angry. In his heart, he continually cursed, "Wretched. I offered you favor, yet you refused it. Then do not blame me for being heartless. When I capture the Empress, who has broken through to the life and death stage, turning her into a forbidden entity, I will immediately have her confront you once again." Seizing the fisherman's gain, Following that, I will absorb you into my blood river sect to avenge the massacre of my camp years ago." Thinking thus, he still humbly asked, "The grand plan is settled. When do we depart?" The mysterious figure pulled out a golden scroll from within, aloofly said, "Now." The scene shifts to the internal domain of Wujiang. Night has fallen, and the entire city is brightly lit. On a nearby cliff, Blood River Ancestor and the mysterious figure have arrived. Blood River Ancestor excitedly exclaimed, "My friend, you truly live up to your reputation. Everything happens as you predicted. The Empress indeed set up numerous ambushes on the path that must be crossed to enter the city. But even I couldn't foresee that you secretly established an underground route 5 years ago within Wujiang, leading straight to the main hall. Now we await the curtain to rise." The mysterious figure was entirely indifferent, merely glanced in another direction as if searching for something, then coldly said, "Talkative." Meanwhile, within Wujiang, the Empress was preparing her attire, ready to proceed with the celestial ritual. Today, she donned a silver-white robe adorned with golden threads, exuding immense authority and grandeur. The Empress clutched a red paper, deepening her lip color with a touch. At this moment, Shen stood behind the screen, gently inquired, "Yanni, are you ready?" The Empress gently placed the red paper down, then replied, "Yes, let's go." The Empress' makeup today was breathtakingly beautiful, her appearance rivaling the splendor of flowers and the luster of willows. Bai Qingni had just awoken from a trance. Xiao Qiao was also hidden, laying in ambush. General Tai he seemed to have just endured a battle, appearing weary. Under the golden moonlight, the Empress majestically stepped out, full of majesty, boldly proclaiming, "The auspicious hour has arrived." That night, the entire city was brilliantly lit with decorations, and the people flocked outside, bustling as if attending a festival, creating an extremely lively and bustling atmosphere. A little child curiously asked, "Mom, today is so lively, is it because the new year has arrived?" The mother shook her head, smiling gently, and said, "Only when the snow falls is it New Year, my dear." "But why is everyone still awake at this late hour?" the child asked inquisitively. The mother pointed towards the Empress's palace and said, "Because there is a decree from Her Majesty, that's why." At this moment, the Empress's subordinates were distributing documents to each person. "Everyone, please take the prayer document." The mother received one and handed it to the child. "Here, hold onto it tightly," the child exclaimed in surprise. "Oh, does Her Majesty not sleep either?" The mother picked the little girl up and laughed, saying, "Indeed, Her Majesty works tirelessly every day for us to have good days. Don't you very much adore Her Majesty?" The child nodded with a smile. "Yes, then let us pray for Her Majesty, wishing her enduring blessings." After that, the two of them wandered while softly reciting the prayer document. "Let the heavens shine upon us. May the earth gather the aura. May each spirit find its rightful place. Let the celestial light descend above us. And may diligence reach the four corners. O spirits of the heavens and the earth, we pray for the fortune of Emperor Changning." At that very moment, a shadow suddenly appeared on a high rooftop nearby. It was none other than the bloodthirsty old ancestor, Zhu Laozu. He had infiltrated the inner city to observe. Standing high, looking down, Zhu Laozu smiled complacently, saying, "Ha ha, the altar is set, and the people are chanting prayers to the heavens and earth. As expected, Luan Yanni will conduct the celestial rite." He took out the skull to inspect the sacred artifact, ensuring there were no abnormalities. "How splendid." Watching the Empress and her subordinates walking down the road, he sneered, "I thought Luan Yanni would have a backup plan, but now I see I was overly concerned. Next, you and I only need to discuss one thing. When she breaks through, ally, can you cover for me?" Hearing no response, Zhu Laozu turned around but found the mysterious figure gone. He snorted coldly, "Gone already, seeking to reap the benefits without showing face. Well, it's fine, doesn't require me to speak. Once I capture Luan Yanni, the control of this transaction will be in my hands." Just then, around the Empress suddenly appeared numerous bloodied hands. They frantically grasped, scratched, tearing apart the Empress's attire into tatters. In the next instant, the Empress seemed to be controlled, her pupils turning blood red, her mind in chaos. However, this Empress was peculiar, with the distinctive mark on her forehead no longer visible. Immediately after, the Empress, unable to control herself, unleashed an aura that pushed all her subordinates far away. A subordinate covering their face accompanied her, shouting in panic, "Your Majesty, will the grand rite succeed?" The Empress finally struggled to get up, but her state was no longer lucid. On her body appeared a host of higher seals, and the Empress had become a puppet of Zhu Laozu. The Empress turned to her subordinates, her gaze filled with murderous intent. After confirming that the seal was successfully imprinted, Zhu Laozu appeared, laughing boastfully. "Finally, I have captured you, Luan Yanni." The other subordinates immediately drew their weapons and shouted, "Zhu, old thief, why are you here?" As soon as the words were spoken, a higher seal appeared on the arm of the female soldier. Zhu sneered coldly and said, "Wrong, you must call me old ancestor." Saying this, he pulled out the skull artifact, continually casting higher seals on everyone around, while simultaneously commanding the Empress to charge and attack. "Charge forward, Luan Yanni, use your life and death cultivation to plunge the entire Wuji sect into the blood sea runes." The Empress, having lost her consciousness, charged madly, yet in the next moment, the Empress suddenly overloaded, her eyes rolling back as if a pig being slaughtered, finally powered down, collapsing face first onto the ground. Blood River Elder was stunned. What is happening?" He carefully looked at the unconscious Empress lying on the ground, noticing her spiritual energy dissipating. What, could it be that the heaven and earth ritual has failed? No, it can't be. When I marked her with the Blood River seal, I distinctly sensed the aura of life and death. Before he could finish his sentence, Shen suddenly appeared, delivering a straight punch to his face. The punch was so strong it sent him flying in an instant. He was slammed into the wall, creating a deep indentation, severely injured and unable to move. At that moment, a familiar voice resonated, "Long time no see." Blood River Elder spat blood, looking up in shock to see a familiar figure before him. You are, ye scum." Shen stepped forward, smilingly saying, "Blood River, you're the same as ever. Vicious and greedy." Blood River exclaimed in agitation, blood spurting with his words, "No. Impossible. I searched for your traces for 100 years. Confirmed you had entered the gate of death. Your path obliterated, and yet you appear here." Just then, a soft female voice interjected, "Why wouldn't it be possible?" Blood River Elder turned in surprise, only to see the female subordinate earlier by the Empress's side stepping forward, removing her veil to reveal her true face. It turned out she was the real Empress. The one earlier was merely an imposter. Shen inquired, "Yanni, are you all right?" The Empress smiled, "With the master here, of course. Everything is smooth and safe. Just a pity that the puppet you created is no more." Blood River Elder was stunned to hear that. What? Weren't you the one entering the heaven and earth ritual? But you, ye scum, were merely at the Fengshen realm. How could you forge a puppet with flesh and blood, possessing a life and death aura after the ritual? Could it be you not only survived but also transcended? Shen nodded slightly, then shook his head, saying, "Didn't I already say? You're just the same as before. With your nature, the Northern Blood River Army's pressure couldn't be your deliberate decision. If it were, then surely you had other preparations. And the chaos within the Wuji sect was your best choice." Yanni's long-standing internal defense was unlike her hostile nature. You must have assumed she lacked an army and could only seek to transcend to fight back. Reality proved you thought so indeed. If tonight you had pondered a bit more, continued lurking in ambush, the outcome might have been uncertain. My initial intent was to trap you as the ritual began, but you only used a spell to check once before it started. The fact that such an evil force acts hastily can only mean one thing. You're confident of victory and have a master aiding you. Thus, I endured and played this drama. Blood River Elder, realizing he had fallen into the trap and drama set by Shen, felt utterly defeated and disgraced. He laughed bitterly, "Ye scum. You claim I haven't changed. And what about you? 100 years ago, I was beheaded by you. You claimed to have planned meticulously. Yet didn't I still find a chance to break free and emerge? Saying so much, aren't you just trying to find out who my assistance is to eradicate it? Fine then." Blood River drew out a skull magical weapon, from which sprouted dozens of blood-colored thorny vines. There was a deadly gleam in the skull's eye sockets. "Want to watch another play? If I die, this transaction will collapse like smoke. Hurry and save me, King of Assassins." At this very moment, an assassin appeared behind the Empress, launching a surprise attack. The Empress turned back in alarm. At the moment the sword was about to slash at her, Shen rushed in just in time, using his bare hand to intercept the blow. His body had already reached holy level, impervious to blades and weapons. The Empress was bewildered as she recognized the assassin's face. She stammered, "Why is it you, second junior sister?" Shen was also taken aback upon hearing this. The king of assassins standing before him, the one attempting to kill his chief disciple, was none other than his own second direct disciple, Ghostly Asura.
That's the end of today's episode. Sincere thanks to everyone for watching Miss Review Manhwa. See you all in the next videos.